Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to our third interview of GRAFFTV. Today we have a special guest joining us, one of the most recognizable names in graffiti history, an all-star, a future Hall of Famer, and a Los Angeles graffiti legend. You can currently see his art on over 150 utility boxes all over Los Angeles County. A true West Coast artist, one of the most talked about ever. Ladies and gentlemen, the one and only Gas MTA. Hey man, it's great to finally have you here. How are you doing?
I'm doing good. Thank you for having me.
You're welcome, man. Let's get this interview started.
Let's go.
Okay, now, you're not originally from Los Angeles, is that right?
That's correct.
Where were you born?
England.
What part of England?
The exact city I'd rather not disclose, but you know, England.
How do your parents meet in England? Do you know?
I think my dad went there from school, met my mom there, and here I am.
Were they also born in Europe, the both of them?
My mother, yeah, my father, no.
Where was your father born?
St. Vincent.
What type of guy was your father? Can you describe him for us?
Kind of man he was, irresponsible man, I guess. An uneducated, irresponsible man, I guess.
What about your mother? What kind of person was she?
Well educated, came from a good background, well brought up, like, you know, on point. My rock, moms.
Do you have any sisters or brothers?
Yeah, younger sister in Missouri.
At a certain point while in England, your family decides to leave. How?
I'm young. I'm young. I'm not even like 2 years old at this point. This is like in the 70s. This is before I can even remember. I can't remember anything really about England, and so.
Do you remember or do you know why your family decides to leave England?
I guess they seem the worldwide American dream. I guess America, you know, Statue of Liberty. You know, what do they say? I don't know. A better life in America. I guess that's the catchphrase, the cliche. I assume. I don't know. Not exactly sure. I'm assuming that's somewhere along the lines of it.
When your family moves to America, where do you settle first?
New Orleans.
Wow, New Orleans. Do you remember New Orleans?
Again, I'm super young at this point. I'm like 2 years old, 3 years old. I vaguely remember the house. Vaguely remember like the kindergarten I went to, maybe like at 4 years old or 5 years old, whatever, the daycare, whatever it was. I can't remember.
For how long does your family live in New Orleans?
Oh, like probably 78. I was born, so about 4.5 years, 5 years. I'm in Los Angeles at like 83. Yeah, so.
Right. Your family ends up moving to Los Angeles.
Right.
Which part in Los Angeles do you settle?
Settle where the first place I ever lived was Santa Monica and Vine. Right off of like 2 blocks, a block off of Santa Monica and Vine. Yeah. And then ultimately, about a year later, Echo Park. And that was where I resided, probably started residing in Northeast Los Angeles, probably at the age of like 5, 6 or so.
Echo Park has changed a lot in the last couple of years due to gentrification. What's your opinion on Echo Park these days?
Not that I spend that much time in Echo Park. I have a lot of friends who still live there. I pass by there, you know. It isn't what I remember it being as a child. I'll give it that. I mean, it's still Echo Park. It still has nostalgic memories. The Elysian Park, all the whole general area, Northeast LA has memories to me. But Echo Park itself, it isn't what I remember it being as a child at all.
What does the date September 4 mean to you and the city of Los Angeles?
Well, it's the day of my birth, but to me, I like it. I mean, it's like a fact I put together later in life. It's like also like the birthday of the city of Los Angeles, and I love this city, so there you go. Yeah.
Once you get to Los Angeles at such an early age, was it difficult making new friends, going to school? What was that experience like, hitting Los Angeles?
It wasn't hard, because that's a question to be asked, I think, of somebody who like left Germany in high school and came here in high school. I was so young. I didn't have friends. I was so young. I didn't have a big soul. I was like 4 or 5 years old. All my friends I made were friends I made in Los Angeles from that day till this day. So it wasn't like I was making new friends. I was so young, I was just making friends.
At an early age, you begin to show signs of artistic ability. As a matter of fact, we have this for you. Can you tell us anything about this cup and what it represents for you in your artistic journey?
Oh, that's great. My artistic journey? Wow, that's crazy to have this. This is one of the first dope little logos I remember seeing. I don't know if you see it. You did a lot of research for real. I had this somewhere in my parents' house from the 1984 Olympics. I guess my dad had it from, I don't know where he got it from. McDonald's, for all I know, what it looks like, I don't know, somewhere. But yeah, I just remember looking at this as a kid, like, man, this is cool, man. This is a cool little imagery, like a character, and like, I don't know, like, yeah, that's a crazy memory. Yeah, this is what this memory brings back to me. Like one of the first images of something seeing as a kid, not even as graffiti, as an artist, just like, that's a cool imagery. You know, like, man, this is a pretty cool imagery. Someone should definitely rock this on a wall. Might have to be the one. Sam Beagle. There you go. Cool. That's damn. I think it's the exact same cup too. That's crazy.
Did your mother and father have any artistic ability? Is it like the family talent?
My mom was a creative person in general, but as far as being an artist, she was an artist. No. My father, not at all. Not at all.
At the age of 10, you first pick up a spray can down the street from your home in Echo Park. Can you tell us about that first encounter?
Wow, you really did homework. The first time I ever touched a can of spray paint was accidentally on the end of my block in Echo Park, throwing rocks or marbles or something, or I can't remember what we were doing. Somehow we ended up throwing something against a wall in this house, and the board was either broken on the wall or the garage or something, and went to the garage, like put my hand there to grab whatever you had thrown into the rock, or I can't remember what it was, so young, and put my hand down there for some reason, like finding a can of paint, like an old ultra flat or semi-flat black fireball, rusted Krylon with like a black stock tip, original tip. This is probably like 1980, 7, 8, something like that, 78, 88 or something like that. And so like, I'm in this empty lot and there's a trailer parked in the lot there, and the trailer happened to belong to one of my neighbor's grandfathers. And so I caught a tag on the trailer with my real name and ran off. I just lived my life and didn't think anything about it. It was just like, it wasn't tagging me, it was just spraying this can, just learning like just to spray a can. It wasn't like I was going it for fame, I was just doing it for fun, I guess. And then later, one of the kids saw it and then ran to the other kids, and it got to the girls, and they were like, oh, they tagged on my grandpa's trailer, and they tried to like figure out who had done it, but it wasn't hard to figure out who had done it because it was my name and I was the only kid in the block with that name. So came to my house and hit up my parents and were like, hey, your kid wrote on this trailer thing. And I was like, oh, well, you know, it was just like, hey, you shouldn't. I was so young. It wasn't like, you're a tagger, stop that. It wasn't even that notion. It was more like, that's not your property. You shouldn't be doing that. You know, like you tell a kid, like, just not leave people's stuff alone. It wasn't like I was in trouble. I probably did get in trouble. My dad probably whipped my ass, but I can't even remember at this point. But yeah, that was my first experience with like a spray can.
When you write your name on that wall, are you conscious of graffiti at that time?
At that, I'm like, do I understand what graffiti is and I see it exist? Yeah, but like I'm in elementary at this time. I'm like, I've never really thought about like the concept of graffiti. Like, I'm gonna go out here and get up and become somebody. Like, no, it was basically the equivalent of a child. Anyone who has children knows at a certain point a child will get a hold of a marker or a pen or a crayon and just write on walls. It's a natural instinct. I don't think it has anything to do with that kid wants to be a tagger. I think it's just something that happens. All kids do it. I don't think it has anything to do with graffiti, you know? I just think I think at that point, it was just it was something I'd never seen. I didn't have a spray can in my house. I'd never used one. I wasn't even sure how they worked. It was just kind of tripping out how the thing worked, I guess, at that point. And I didn't know what else to write, so I just wrote my name because it was the first thing that popped in my head.
Who first introduces you to graffiti? Or when does it first enter your consciousness?
I want to say not long after that, maybe because when you're a child, it seems like a million years later, but it was probably like, in fact, like a year or so later, probably like 10 or 11 years old. One of the neighborhood kids, he's actually a Sheik from LOD, OTR right now, and Baser from LOD and OTR and whatever, that connection. They were across the street from me. I used to go to his house and like play video games with him. He was like the older kid in the block. He's a year or so older than me, and I would just hang out there, you know, we would just do things. And one day, I guess at his school, he was at that age, and he was in junior high already. I think I was in the 5th or 6th grade. And he came home with like subway art. And then they were all looking at it. And of course, I'm this little kid, like looking over their shoulders, like, hey guys, what are you looking at? And they're like, oh, this is like graffiti art, subway art. Mind you, at this point, I still really haven't taken in graffiti in the streets. I've seen it, but I really don't understand it. I have no concept of what it really is. It's just there, you know what I'm saying? As much as trees growing, they're just trees. You never really start to think about it. And I started flipping through the subway art, I guess, at his house one day. I don't know, man. That was like something fucking snapped. Like, this is it. This is, I don't even know what this is or who these people are. Or maybe it was the colors. Maybe, I don't know what it was that in my mind just got me like, whoa, like, I want to do this. This is like, I didn't know if I want to do this, but like, this is just interesting to me. Like, this is, wow, I've never seen anything like this. Like, I see magazines, I see catalogs, I see documentation and books at school, and none of them have this, let alone, you know, like this extent of color and madness. And I guess around that same time too, like they started tagging based on kids in the junior high, and I saw my first marker ever, I think it was like a 2-tone mean streak. It was like turquoise and yellow. And he wrote another name back then. I remember like walking down the street with him just to watch him catch tags. Like, oh, they're catching tags. It just seemed like so much fun to me. Like, you know, we'd walk down the street the next day and he'd have his name there. Like, whoa, that's my friend. Like, that's cool. And mind you, at this point, I'm like 9, 10 years old. I'm a little kid. Like, I'm a little shit, you know? And yeah, those are the guys that got me started. Baser and Chic, LOD. Those are the people who were like, if they had been like into surfing and shit, I probably would have been like surfing. Who knows, you know? But that's what sparked the interest in me.
At some point, you pick up your own marker and you start tagging your name. What name do you first write? Do you remember?
I think the first name I had like 10 names in like 10 days kind of shit. Like, I want to say the first name ever was like Doc. Like Doc, like, no, the first name ever I think was, no, it was Doc. It was Doc. For us, the first name ever was Doc.
How do you choose that name? Why that one?
I seriously think it had some shit to do with like Bugs Bunny. Like, yo, what up, Doc? Yo, tell me, yo, Doc, like, yo, Doc. Or, oh, no, you know what I know what to do with? The Doc, the formula, the album, the DOC. I think that's what it was. I really dug that out when he dropped that shit. That was around the time, like 89 or something. Like, yeah, that was in the time, yeah. So the DOC, the formula, the album, the NWA artist. It was just the diggy Doc, y'all. Like, it sounded dope. I mean, it wasn't anything dope. I'm a little kid and just, I like this music, you know what I'm saying? Like, you know, I could have easily wrote Cardi today, you know, if I was a little girl. It was just what was on the radio and what, like, caught my ear, you know what I'm saying? No real relevance to it.
Why do you stop writing Doc? Does anything happen?
I think someone told me, like, probably Chic or Bass or one of the guys, like the older dudes, I was like, hey, you can't write that. Like, there's a graffiti crew. Like, I just want to know what a fucking crew is. I'm just like, we all just write names. And like, it's not, I'll go like, I'm still young. He's like, you can't write that because there's already a crew called DOC. I'm like, okay, whatever crew is, yeah, but I can't write this. Then I think I tried to write like A's or something for like 2 days, and they're like, you can't write that, because this is like when CBS was like doing the whole Melrose shit in the 90s. Like, there's a guy who writes Az, and I met Az soon later in life, but he wrote Az back then. Like, well, you can't write that. And then for a little while, I think I wrote Icer. I think Icer was like, yeah, Icer was like the next one, like ICER. And I actually like that name, you know? Shout out to the Ice Motiar too, good man. But yeah, it's a dope name. It is a dope name, Icer. And I think that had something to do with around the time of like Vanilla Ice shit or something. Or like, I think I was writing Icer before that, because when that came out, fools would just clown and like sing that song and shit. But then it went from Icer to Jazer, and then Jazer 101. And then you see where that went, you know?
You mentioned an old crew from Los Angeles, the DOC crew.
DOCs, yeah.
Did you ever meet any of those members?
At that time, remember, I'm like 10 years old, 11 years old. Like, I'm a little kid. I'm like the 6th grade, 11, you know, like 6th grade, or whatever that math makes me, you know, like young, like 5th grade. Like, so nah, not at all.
Do you meet them later on in your career?
Yeah, later. I mean, I got friends now that are from DOC I see all the time. But
can you name a couple of the original DOC members, if you
like
remember?
Odio and Oami, how to say his name? IOMI. Gamo, like those the Sonic from DOC, those a couple of them back then. There's a lot of them. There's more Fivo. There's more that I'm like brain farting on. But yeah, Fivo. There's a lot more. I just remember all those guys were like skaters. I just always remember that. Those big skate crew, they all skaters and they all skate. Those are the DLCs, the skaters. And like, oh, okay. Those guys are dope skaters and they can do graffiti. Well, I'm gonna learn the graffiti thing, I guess, you know?
Definitely. DLC, legendary crew.
Shout out to DLC crew, my people. Or a 2-week run or whatever. All these names, mind you, don't think these like, I went out rocking. These are like, I'm saying, these are like my first names. All these names went through a cycle of like, probably like 90 days, like, you know what I'm saying, to figure all this out. Like, it wasn't like I had a career, but you'd never see any of these names. Oh, I think I saw it up back in the day. You didn't, it wasn't me. And if it's up now, it ain't me. So just make that clear now. I never did shit with any of those names, which is hence why most people never heard of them. Quick break.
After writing Doc and Icer, you come about writing Jazer, 101er. Can you talk about how you first start writing that name? Where does it come from?
I think a failure of the whole A's thing or Azer thing. Like I like those letters. It sounds cool. It sounds like taser and phaser. And it was like, I'm still a kid. Shit, it's like I have no sense or logic, rhyme or reason why I do anything at that point. It just sounded nice. It could be anything, you know? You
eventually drop the Jazer part and stick with 101er. What leads to that decision?
Wouldn't it be cool if instead of writing a name, like I wrote a number, like, oh, like the freeway, look, 101, LA, like, I don't know. There was very few people in the city at the time who really even had numbers. The only number, to this day, I mean, how many people really write numbers to this day? There's like a handful of them, and it was catchy. There was no, like I said, no rhyme or reason to it, just switch it up.
From there, you go on an amazing run with 101er. That name is everywhere in Los Angeles.
It was.
It was.
It was.
You also begin doing throw-ups with the 101 freeway logo behind your name. How do you come up with that idea?
Well, living in Los Angeles, it wasn't a far reach. It was. I didn't come up with it. You know, the Interstate Freeway Commission that made that logo came with it. Like, how did I steal the idea? Because I was a young kid and it was given to me and it was readily available. One thing I learned from that experience is imagery recognition. Not necessarily I was up or I was dope, but that was an image you saw already. So when you saw it outside of the place it was supposed to be, it was kind of like, that's weird, that shouldn't be there, but that's kind of what made it as catchy as it was, I think. I recognized that myself just looking at it. You know, people were like, oh, it's a really dope thing. Like, not so much about the graffiti, but that little freeway thing was really cool to everybody, and it was imagery.
Do you remember everyone's reaction when they first see that logo? Your friends, what do they say about it?
Well, like, when my friends first saw it, my friends knew it was. They're probably with me when I did it. I don't know everyone else's reaction because I probably wasn't with them when they first initially saw it. I have no idea, you know?
Can you name, actually, what school are you attending at this time when you start writing 101er?
I gotta say probably Marshall. Yeah, Marshall, yeah.
You've also attended several schools in your career. Can you name some of the schools that you've been in?
All those shitty institutions. Let's see, Marshall, fuck them. Fairfax, fuck them. Belmont, Newmark, Walt Whitman, fuck all these things. I mean, yeah, I graduated, but yeah, those places, yeah.
Why would you transfer from school to school? Were you getting in trouble? Were you getting caught writing?
I was a high school prodigy. I was a genius. They didn't have enough academics to keep up with me. Nah, I was fucking up. I was getting kicked out of school. I was truant. I was vandalizing shit. Truancy was my big thing. I just didn't want to go to school. You know, like, there was other stuff for me to do in 8 hours of a day than go to school, you know?
While on this run, hitting up 101 everywhere, how would you find time to go out and write? Would you sneak out of your house? Would you ditch school to go writing?
Well, at this point, my parents were separated at this point. So I live with my mom, and not to say she was a carefree parent, but she wanted me to go to school, and that was pretty much the bath. Like, she expected me to go out with my friends and do what kids do. She wasn't restrictive. Maybe she gave me idle time to go out and be with my friends, which led to creativity and stuff. Really, you know, I wasn't doing anything wrong. My mom knew I was doing artwork. She saw my creativity, like, you know, so the time was always there, I guess. It was just, the time was made. When you like something, you know, like, how do you get the time to go play basketball or go skateboard or do anything else you want to do? You make the time if you really, you know, the time, same 24 hours a day, what you do with it, what I do with it, you know, that story, you know.
Where were some of the important places you would go riding? Downtown, Hollywood? Where were your favorite spots?
Well, it depends what you consider riding. I mean, like, my favorite place to have ever ridden in my career, that was like the playground forever, which will never be the same no matter how much you try to bring it back, would be the LA riverbed. Probably from like Glendale down to like Vernon. That was just a big ass playground, which is adjoined train yards and bridges and cuts and a band. It was just everything, like hands down. I mean, yeah, it's a part of downtown, but that part in specific, until it got buffed, was like, that was like a Hall of Fame at one point. I used to go down there and see graffiti from back in the 90s and the 88. Like, I'm talking writers, people I haven't even heard about down there. I'm like, yeah, the LA riverbed. That was the fun times, good times.
At this time, when you're writing 101er, do you remember some of the other writers that would influence you or that you look up to?
Fuck, that's a long ass list. I mean, obviously the people closest to me obviously influenced me. So like Chic and Bay, the ones that got me on game. Those are the ones like, this is what it's about. These are these crews, this and this and this. You know, like at the first point, out of my own, when I was 101er, just doing my own thing, who influenced me? Fuck, there's a shitload. I feel like if I'm gonna say a couple of names, I'm gonna forget a whole bunch of other ones. My first younger influence was probably Sisk and Bash, because those are close people to me. So those ones actually took me out painting to like spots and like putting me on game. And it's also like who influenced like what different aspects of graffiti. Like one person didn't influence my whole career. Like I look at tags, like damn, Oilers up everywhere. That's back when Tulsa's live, rest in peace. Tulsa's up everywhere. Like, you know, I mean, Panic had tags there. I wanted to be. There was a lot of people out there like with tags. I remember old Poise tags. I remember like Sham tags, Joust, Prel, like Harm tags. Like there's a lot of people out there, dude. Like I can say the most cliche, oh, Chaka, but yeah, that's everyone says. But like there were so many other people out there beside Chaka, you know, like a little Cab, like you see Cab doing shit. I remember when Cab had tags in the street. I remember seeing like old like Moscow tags. Remember old temp tags and old like Nuke and Duke tags and like silhouettes in downtown, like old Snap tags, Skill tags, Master, like old skate tags. Like I could go on. Like I'm telling you, all these names I'm listing are just what's popping in my head, and I'm fucking forgetting like 100 plus people. One of the first person who really put the relevance of like going everywhere to me was this dude Shower from CBS. He's Melody for a while. Like I don't know where he's at now, but like he lived down the street from me, and like he was like the older tagger. I would say, wow, this guy skates around, and he's a brother too, not a lot of black taggers. And you know, he's just skating around here catching these tags in my neighborhood. But then I'm going across the city, and I'm seeing his tags down Wilshire and Merrill's. Like, wow, he's really like, that's kind of cool. He has all these tags around the city, and like, you know, like when you put two and two together, like big influences, like Yards were influences, Belmont, you know, like Motor, Sanborn, you know what I'm saying, Belmont, like, you know, like fucking Santa Fe Yard, Levitts, Fletcher's, Tree Line, like Tracks, all those are all influences to you, like so much shit. But at this point, remember, I'm a little kid, so I haven't seen all these yards yet, but like these are all the people who like influence early graffiti. Like, whoa, like there's a lot of shit out there. And like piecers and graffiti, like hands down piecing, like early CBS shit, the SHs, hands down. SHs influenced me big time as a kid. I used to sit in the yards and watch like Asylum, Panic, Acme, fucking all these dudes just going at it all day, fucking Precise, fucking just killing walls, slaughtering shit, like whole productions in the Fletcher yard, like, you know. I would just sit there as a kid and watch like Bash and Size just go at walls, knocking out shit. I used to be a little kid at John Burroughs going down to Melrose and seeing mirror paint stuff and watching Hex Paint just tripping out. Like they didn't know who I was. I had no idea who they were. I just knew these guys were fucking dope. Like, you know, like yeah, there's a lot of people, you know. I remember Krenz and shit. I remember being a little kid seeing Krenz and shit, like AM7 shit, like down there off of like Vermont at this gas station, waiting for the bus to go home on Vermont or Wilshire. There was this big brick wall with like this Krenz AM7 tag all chrome, and remember I'm a kid at this time looking at this shit, like how the fuck could well my tag looks cool, but what the fuck is this shit? Like this is mind blowing. Like Melrose alleys, like it just blew my mind. And it all started from like that subway art and knowing this is what I want to do. You know what I'm saying? Like this tagging shit is cool, but like I really like this big shit. That shit looks, the colors are nice. That's nice shit. It's a long ass answer, but you know.
While going out riding, do you ever encounter any danger these early days? Homeless, gang members?
I mean, there's always dangers out of them. I mean, no crazy, no nothing extraordinary, like, yeah, gangsters tripping, chasing you, driving around the neighborhood, like, you know, like trying to run away from them. Like, I never got shot, I never got stabbed, I never got beat to shit. Like, you know, like, you know what I'm saying? Like, my worst case scenario is probably getting caught by the police, and most times you just let you on your way or whatever. They weren't really tripping back in the day.
101er, you get great at it. Your can control is amazing. How would you practice your writing to get better?
I like the compliments. I don't know about amazing and great. I mean, it is what it is. Like, I guess if you tag enough, if you do anything enough, you'll get good at it, I guess, you know? You know, just repetition. Like I said, railroad tracks, Atwater railroad tracks, abandoned vandy camps, buildings in San Fernando Road, like railroad track, riverbeds. Keep going riverbed. It's out the way. You can practice your shit. No one really gives a fuck, you know? Obviously, the obvious way to do it, like I say, is, oh, paper. But yeah, you can tag really dope on paper, but it's just can control and a pen or pencil control a little bit different, I think, you know? Like, yeah, like a lot of people can say, oh, that looks really nice on paper, but can you do it on a wall? You know, and that's basically what that comes from, because a lot of people can draw, but some people can't draw on the wall for the simple fact they don't know how to maneuver the can to create the response they want with the tip and the paint. And that alone is can control. If you don't have that, then that buck stopped there. You stick with pens and papers and stuff, you know?
When do you start making graffiti a priority? Would you go out every night?
I've said this in other interviews, and I said, I mean, going out to tag is like going out to get caught. Like, I'm going out to tag. Like, well, that just seems, if you do that, you can do that and get away with it. But I think if you go out to tag all the time, every day, you're going to get caught. But if you're just living your life, being around people, going to certain places and seeing things and kind of vibing it out a little more and saying, hey, I've been seeing that for the last couple of days. You know, we should plan to go get it and, you know, set it up and go out. You know, that's when you're going out to tag and when you have to catch a spot. But just waking up like, I'm going to tag. It's like, I mean, is that all you have? There's gotta be more to life than just going to tag. You're gonna probably burn yourself out in that shit pretty quickly, like anything. You know, just when I was doing tagging, I guess I didn't realize what I was doing. Like, I knew what I was doing. It's like Forrest Gump. Like, I ran to get where I was going, but I never thought it'd get me anywhere. Like, I wrote my name on the wall to get up, but I didn't think anyone would ever really see it kind of shit, you know? Like, I thought you would see it and my friends would see it because we're all together, but I know other groups of people who did what I did would see it, but like, would people really see it? And fuck it, people see that shit. Like, you know, like more than you realize type of thing, you know? And by the time it was already up, it was like, it's already there. Like, what the fuck can you do? You just roll with this shit, I guess.
Would you say writing became an addiction for you at one point?
No, nothing's an addiction. People who say that shit, it's the most stupid shit in the world to say, like, oh, I'm physically addicted, I can't stop. Like, no, just like marijuana. Well, you think you're physically addicted, but in reality, you're not. To some people, maybe you're addicted to the adrenaline you might get being out there doing shit in 3 in the morning in the places and seeing the shit you're seeing and being young, and it's adrenaline. Like, it's kind of a weird adrenaline though when you think about it, because like you're getting adrenaline from doing something illegal you shouldn't be doing out in a place you shouldn't be. I mean, yeah, I guess. I mean, it is what it is. It's addiction? Nah, not addictive. Habit forming? Definitely. Habit forming? Yeah. Yo, addictive? No.
What motivated you back then to go so hard and put in so much work behind 101er?
I guess obviously the first thing was just ample idle time, being young. I have a job, responsibilities, I live in my mom's house, like just idle time, you know? Competition, I guess, among your friends at that point, just trying to like get all the things up around your area. Just, I don't think you thought about going hard. I mean, I guess maybe you thought about going hard. It was just doing what you were doing at that point in your life. Like, honestly, like, I wanted to be a graffiti artist at this point. Like, I didn't know I was going to be doing this shit this long. Really, I didn't. You know what I'm saying? Like, 90% of people who do graffiti don't do it this long. 90% of people who do graffiti do it for a hot summer. That's a wrap. You know? You'd be lucky if most graph writers have a 5-10 year run at this shit. You know? Because life takes over, you know? It's like, I never looked at like, oh, I'm going hard. Like, I think if you go really hard 3 or 4 or 5 years in a row, you're gonna burn yourself out in it, because you can look at a list of graph writers who came in this game. I'm not gonna say names because some are still doing it on and off, but like a lot of them came out of nowhere, went really hard in the fucking paint for 5 years, and fucking, where are they now? Like, they're not even around. They're not even like from crew. They don't even do graffiti. They don't go to shows. They don't do shit. They got a missile. They just, that was fucking it. Like, you know, and like, to me, that's cool. You can be dope. But like, I think you burnt yourself out. You did too much too fast. You know what I'm saying? Like a drug or alcohol or anything else, you did it too much too fast, and now it doesn't affect you anymore. You got tired of it, so you moved on to something else. You know, slow and steady wins the race, I guess, you know?
How would you get your supplies back in those days? Your spray cans, your mean streaks?
Well, there's multiple aspects of life. Like, back in the days when I was young, like, I guess when I was stupid young, like, buy them off older kids at school. Like, hey, I got a mean streak for sale. I'm like, I got a couple dollars. Like, I don't even know where to get a mean streak. I'll tell you one day, like, I did a lick when I was like 10 years old at a store that used to be on Melrose and fucking Vermont with two older homies and shit. Like, we fucking robbed that motherfucker for like a shitload of mean streaks, like fucking hundreds of shit, and markers and shit. Like, Barry, I'm a little kid, like 9, 10 years old. So when they're doing the divvy now, there was like 2 for you, 2 for you, 2 for you, like 1 for you. And I was like, oh, okay, 1. Like, I didn't know any better. I should have been like, fuck that. Like, we all split the pie equally. But I was ecstatic to have like 30 mean streaks and shit, you know what I'm saying? Like, to go home and spice them up and make colors with them and shit and mix them up, you know, because I had nothing else to do. And like all those mean streaks, I went to go burn like in the hills of Elysian Park, tagging on water towers and like park benches, like, because I'm like, say, I'm a little ass kid. I'm like 10, 11 years old. You know what I'm saying? I really don't even know real graffitis. I'm still like in the I think I'm in the 6th grade right now. So I'm like 11 years old this time, you know what I'm saying? I really don't even know what graffiti really is. I'm just fucking around.
At some point, you move on to high school, Marshall High, and you join an up-and-coming crew called 2DN. Can you tell us how you joined that crew?
Fuck, that's a crazy one here. I was actually from this other crew called FAC. Me and my friends made up, not the FAC that came like later than the 2000s. It was another one. It was a bunch of little kids in it. And I guess all the FACs were pretty much like just straight taggers. Like, these guys had like no graffiti. They had never seen subway art. They had no aspiration to do anything of color other than like a black and white tag. And it was just like, I would see these dudes I was from this crew with, and there was this like 2 or 3 other cats that like hung around us, but they weren't from FAC. They were from 2DN. Like, I can't remember what the fuck it even stood for. Fucking, but it was like they saw the subway art vision, I guess, you know, and they were like, oh, this is dope graffiti and 3Ds and color. And I was like, oh, I lean towards that. That's pretty dope. You know what I'm saying? Like, fucking, and so like, that's why I ended up that crew. That crew was like 3 people and lasted for like another year, like another 4-week run. I really didn't, you know, like.
Do you remember some of the members of that crew at that time when you were into it?
It was this one guy Afro, this one guy Psych, this one other dude, I forgot his fucking name, big black, I want to say Eclipse or some shit. No, not the Eclipse, it was a big black dude or some shit. He was like a big fat black dude. He went to Marshall and shit. And Davlin the girl, you know, she was from that shit with me too. And I want to say it was like, no, you know what? You're thinking 2DN. I wasn't from 2DN. I was from 5DC. That was the crew. And Davlin was from 2DN. Yeah, I was there from 2DN. I was from 5DC. And that was like, because she was from both those crews, that's where the smear. So I got to correct that from the camera. Yeah, I was like, 2DN doesn't sound right. I remember the crew, but I wasn't from it. Yeah, 2DN was Davlin and Essia and Prin and all them, Clef, and then that was 2DN's. Yeah, I wasn't from 2DN. I was from 5DC.
How do you join 5DC?
It was just like, we were sitting there like, hey, you should be in 5DC. You're dope. You're in 5DC. It was like, that was as easy as that, you know? The other stupid ass crew we were in, the FAC shit, we were check cording fools in. We were like jumping fools in, like check cording fools out, like most retarded shit. Like, what the fuck? Like, any crew, they said before, any crew that jumps you in, what kind of, it's not like gang, like what kind of retarded shit is that? It was a bunch of high school kids, like student, like 8th, 9th grade shit, like retarded shit.
Do any of the members from 5DC gain your kind of fame? Can you mention a couple of those names?
The only person that did shit out of the crew was myself and Davlin. That was it. Like, you know, that was it. That was it. All the people, if I could tell you, there's a whoosh, whoosh, they fizzled away. Like, graph isn't for everybody. It's a couple of summers, and they said, fuck it, this isn't for me. Not to knock what they're doing. And I know that one dude Afro was really into hip hop and shit. I remember going with him down and get like the Redman, Method Man tape release signed down there in Washington. Like, he was super into hip hop. So like, no doubt he's still doing something with hip hop. He might be a producer, a DJ. I don't know the fuck I haven't seen this dude in like 20 plus years, 25 years by this point. Who knows what he's doing, but God bless him if he's out there. I hope he's alive and well, and hopefully he's still doing something hip hop oriented, because his mind was there. He liked that shit like that, so, you know.
All this is taking place in the mid-90s.
It's like the early 90s. It's like Marshall. It's like 93, 94. It's like 93.
This was around the tag banging era in graffiti.
The real hard tag banging, the hardest stuff, that's when I was in junior high, I was like the 90s, like early 90s, 91, 92, that was like John Burroughs shit. That shit was fucked up. Like, I ain't even sugarcoat that shit. That shit was fucked up. I seen both sides of the fence. I was really cool with side A at school, and I lived over here by side B and shit. Like, I knew homeboy from side A in this class, and I was a homeboy from side B, and that shit was fucked up. Like, I don't know. If you saw really hard tag banging, that shit was fun. I never got involved. I'm not sitting there like, oh, I survived on a gang. I'm not a gang banger. I'm glad I didn't get caught up in that shit, because most of those dudes who got up in that shit bang now. That shit got fucked up. It took a lot of lives of people out there. A lot of people got put in the neighborhoods they probably wouldn't have been. I know a lot of dope artists that had they not got caught with that gang shit, they would have still been dope ass artists. But hey, you know, the hood called and fucking they answered. What the fuck you do, you know? Anyone who remembers that shit in Los Angeles, tag banging was fucked up. Whether you were on the good side, in the end, it's fucked up. It was just fucked up. Shitty.
How did you manage to stay away from that violence?
It's not, I'm not saying I totally eluded all of it. I'm not saying I was like some little angel in the corner. Like, that's not for me. I mean, just like, maybe because I don't even know, really. I don't know. Luck, fucking guardian angels. I don't know. How do any of us avoid anything? Who knows? Like, just like energy, I guess. Like, ooh, like, I see what they're doing over there. It seems kind of cool, but maybe I don't want to be part of that shit. You know what I'm saying? Like, when you see 13, 14-year-old kids with assault rifles and shit, and like, fuck, you're like, it's kind of an eye-opener, you know what I'm saying? It kind of fucks you up, you know what I'm saying? Like, when you have to have a screwdriver and a hammer in your backpack, but yet you're not a carpenter, and it's like, why do you have a screwdriver? Like, oh, so I can climb up poles, but in reality, in my mind, it's like, in case someone tries to like hurt me, I gotta protect myself. It's like, I'm not out there playing the fucking offense trying to go fucking get fools, but fools are out there trying to get you, so what the fuck do you do? Like, you know, you're just a kid trying to go to school, and like, what are you gonna do? Get in your fucking cell phone app and like call for help? This is the 90s, there ain't shit, like, you're in the streets, like, protect yourself, you know? That's, you know, survival out there. It's fucked up, but a kid has to go to school and risk getting jumped, be mistaken for some guy from some other crew and shit, or friends of friends, but that's what it was, and fucking, you know, how did I make it? I got fucking lucky. I was, like I said, right place, right time, and fucking I got lucky, I guess, in there, because not everybody did.
The name 101er, at the height of your career, unexpectedly disappears. What causes you to retire that name?
It was a forced retirement. Fucking, I got snitched on. Like, you know, they pretty much went to my mama's house and called my mama and was like, your son is doing illegal vandalism under this moniker, and which is really actually the nicest thing you can think about. Like, they gave her a heads up. They could have just been like, let him do some more and just fucking get his ass, you know what I'm saying? But for some reason, they felt that it was most appropriate to alert me to my presence being known on their radar, and then I guess do it like that, I guess.
Do you have any idea how they were able to figure out you were 101er? The police?
In the end, from what I was told from officers, was like, someone had gotten caught. The good old, like, you got caught and you're gonna get in trouble, you better start talking. He's like, oh, I know this one guy and he lives over here. And he didn't even know where I lived, but he knew my name, and they did their own research. But like, yeah, I went off of that shit, basically. I didn't get caught and then they figured it out. No, someone, you know, willingly fucking gave information to the pigs.
Being you were born in England, was deportation ever a concern for you when getting caught?
As a child, no, because I'm fucking stupid. Like, if you knew then what you knew now, it's a big concern for me, which is part of the reason I do not do illegal graffiti, you know? I don't do that shit. I'd rather not partake in that shit. I ain't too proud to say that shit on camera. Like, fuck, I have my good run, I'm cool, I'll fuck around, I dabble, but, you know, I'm not gonna speak on it on camera here. Like, it is what it is, you know, but I don't go out bombing on the streets because I got a lot more to lose now, and that's still a factor in life. And any graff writer who's not from this country, you can do what you want, you can get caught, but if the government really doesn't fucking want you here, that's an ample reason to tell you to get the fuck out, and it might stand, so, you know.
When the police come to warn you about 101er, what do your parents say to you after they leave?
Well, at this point, I think I'm with my mother. My parents have been separated because of their own fucking reasons I won't get into, but, you know, my mom's a British lady. She's an understanding lady. She's not the type of mother, she's not gonna hit her kid. She's a talker. She's a reasoner. She understands. She doesn't want me to get in trouble. She doesn't want me to go in the system and go to jail. Like, you know, she's not here to like, you're a piece of shit. Like, she knows I'm a good person. She doesn't see shit wrong with what I'm doing. Yeah, I should do it on public property, but there's a lot, as my mom looked at it, there's a lot of worse things I could be doing. So like, you know, just, you know, just don't get caught up with this shit. It's not something you want to get caught. What parent's gonna tell your kid to go write? She never told me go write on walls. Hey, that's cool. She was like, I prefer you go to these yards and do artwork with your friends. Like, shit, I see you drawing these books. That seems a little more creative. My mom never endorsed graffiti. She never to this day endorses graffiti. What parent does? But you know, she wasn't mad at me. She was upset, but she wasn't mad. She made a big deal about it. It is what it is, you know. She didn't like it. I'm not gonna sit here and say she was proud of it. No parent's proud of that shit, but she didn't make a big deal about it.
You had put in so much work elevating the name 101er. It had become one of the most well-known names at the street at that time. Was it hard letting it go?
Yeah, no, it's like, you said put in a lot of work, but in retrospect, some writers told me that you did more street damage and graffiti as 101er, and sometimes I laugh it off, but in reality, 101er had nothing to lose. He had no kids, he had no wife, he had no job, he had no life. He was just a kid running the streets, so of course, he had nothing else to lose. I had no rationale of consequence, you know, but as an adult, like, which name do I think I made more for? Gas, hands down. Like 101, that was the starter name. That was like my first car, you know what I'm saying? That was my first company and shit, and like the shit fucking crumbled. You know, what's more important is your bounce back. Like, fuck what I was rolling in then. Look what I'm rolling in now. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, did it hurt? Was it kind of fucked up? Yeah, but they told me I was in fucking, I don't know, go to prison for 1,000,000 years and become the next chocolate, all that shit. You know, I'm a little kid. My mom's talking shit like, dude, I can't deal with this shit. You can't have cops come in my house over the shit you're doing. Like, you know, figure your shit out. You know what I'm saying? I had to do some juvenile detention time for some unrelated crimes. And it was like, you know, I can reinvent myself and shit, I guess, you know? Yeah, but like in retrospect, like you say it like, oh, you were at the height of the career. Like, that's like saying the height of the career of the shit company you had that only made like $20,000 a year. It was a cool company, but it wasn't really shit. But now you're sitting here CEO of this fucking franchise and you're looking back like, fuck that company. That company wasn't shit. Like, you know, it was cool. At the time, I felt like I was doing well then by having a bunch of tags everywhere that, you know, like you said, where are those tags at now? Half these kids today haven't even seen those tags. You see a 101er tag, take a picture of it because that shit goes back to like the early 90s. It doesn't, after like 95, there ain't no more 101er tags, you know what I'm saying? So it is what it is. But it wasn't hard to let it go. To answer the question, nah. I need to start shortening these questions and get these tangents.
No, you're doing great. I love it.
Don't be on these tangents, man. We'll be here 4 hours.
Do you think about stopping writing forever after the cops leave?
Are you talking now or are you talking about when I was 101?
When you were 101er and the cops
I'm a stupid ass kid. I'm not, my mind is, I'm not geared right. I'm gonna tag forever. I'm gonna be like, you're asking me now? Like, yeah, of course, that was the first thing I wanted to do. But in reality, then I didn't. I was too young and dumb to really, you know, I'm smart. When you're a kid, you think you're smarter than shit. So my rationale was, well, I'll change my name and they'll never figure out who I am and shit. Like, so here we are, like, you know, but like, it is what it is. It doesn't take much to figure out the same person.
How long after receiving that warning from police are you considering a comeback?
For graffiti or
yes.
for... Set the record straight, I didn't get scared. It wasn't like I got ready in my house the next day. I was like, I'm never doing graffiti again. Like, I was like already, I think I was still tagging the same name until I figured out, like, it wasn't like I just stopped doing graffiti. I was just like, oh, I better not tag around my house so my mom sees it so she talks shit. I better like not get caught up for this. Like, let me not tag you. Basically what it was too, it wasn't like too like all the LAPD, it was like Northeast Division. It was like around where I lived at the time. They were like, you know, there's a lot of tags. That's where I was living, I was playing. So that's where all the tags were at. It wasn't like, there was this big citywide from Beverly Hills to Torrance. Those cities didn't even know the fuck I was. I wasn't a blip on the map. I was still a little kid. It was just, I had so much concentrated area, so much concentrated graffiti in such a small area. It was kind of hard not to notice it, like the general area of like Atwater, Echo Park, Silver Lake, San Fernando, Roseland. It was like, it was easy to tag them all because they're all in like fucking like a 5-mile radius, you know? So it was like I was this crazy killer. It seemed like a killer because the areas I was tagging were like highly populated, highly traveled areas, if you understand what I'm saying, you know?
You do eventually drop the name 101er and try to come up with a new name. What process do you take in choosing that new name?
All right, now at this point I'm probably like, what, 14, 15 or so. And I kind of understand, I fully understand, I'm from Cruises. I know what graffiti is and shit, you know what I'm saying? I'm probably from MTA at this point, it's like mid-90s. And like, I already know what graffiti is. I know like, this name is gonna be, I need to pick it, you know, like, it's kind of like the Dirk Diggler shit, Boogie Nights. Like, I need a name that fucking cuts like glass. It's just like this shit, it's gotta shine. And at that point, I came to the realization, like, a name's gotta be, First of all, it's gotta be memorable. Nothing worse in this graph game I said before than someone who comes up to you and they tell you what they write, and because what they write isn't even a real word in the basic American language or any language for that, you have a hard time really remembering what the fuck the person wrote, let alone how you spell it, you know, to put the connection for them on the wall. So all I knew at that point was, I'm gonna pick a name, which is, I told this to kids a million times, pick a name which is easy to remember. You write door, you write dog, you write cat. It sounds whack, but if you go meet somebody and go, hey, what's that guy's name? Oh, that's Chair, 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 like what you down sit in. You're never gonna forget that guy's name's Chair, you know what I'm saying? Because it's a really weird name, but it's a really odd name. It's an object you can kind of like, yeah, it's a sit down guy. What's his name? Chair, couch, some shit. You'll have some familiarity to it. So it was just picking a name that sounded good, and I had like a bunch of names that I wanted to write before that. I think like tree, star, love, fucking like, I just want to write a name that's just like a word that sounds, you know what I'm saying? Like, and then how I came up with gasoline was like, just some things have, words have power, words have energy, you know what I'm saying? They have movement, they have a feel to them. And it's, to me, something powerful, something industrial, something that's easy to remember, something you hear a lot, something a bell rings, something that's just, I don't know, I think it was something powerful, something industrial, like, you know, something that sounded good, energy, power, like gasoline, fuel, momentum, like something like that. Because I don't write gasol, I write gasoline. Gas and gasol is just an abbreviation for gasoline because I'm fucking lazy and paint is expensive. So there you go. That's where just something, it sounded nice, gasoline.
When you finally choose gasoline, what other writers are you hanging around this time? Can you name a few?
Okay, well, I think I picked that shit out of a hat. My first, here's a crazy one. Like, I was actually locked up in juvenile detention when I picked the name Gasoline. I was like, I went in one-on-one and I came out this Gasoline dude. I remember the first scribe I ever caught was with a rock on fucking statute of limitations. You can't do shit. Fucking on the county, it was Camp Miller, Camp Kilpatrick, get next Camp Miller up there in Malibu Mountains. I was in the work crew. I think I was in the government camp. I was just about to go home, and I had this rock, and I was like, I caught a scribe in like the back windows of one of the buses of the shit with a rock, and it was a cool little scribe, little gas one tag. And I guess the dude who ran the program saw it and was like, who did that tag? And like no one was saying shit. But these little criplets, little bloodless, little gangsters, little BGs, they were just hating on me because I was going home and I was like one of the only graff fighters at the camp. And they were just being assholes. So I guess they went and told this dude who was like the fucking, the head of the crew to get me to get extended time and like violate my shit. And fucking, he pulled me aside one night and was like, look, youngster man, like, you know, you're a really cool cat, man. You know, you work hard, you about to get up out of here. He's like, I know you did that tag on the window of the shit, but he was always really cool with me. We talked and shit, you know what I'm saying? He was cool. He's like, look, I could go ahead and turn you in right now and smoke your date. Your ass would be like, doing another time, you get another extended 6 months here. You always want to be positioned here. You'll be out of here. You'll be fucked up, you know? And he's like, but I'm not gonna, bro, just cause like, you know what I'm saying? Like, did you do it? I was like, yeah, I did, man. But like, my bad. I'm just like, you know, I fucked up. He's like, so he let you ride. That was my first tag ever. So like I said, I came out of juvenile camp being like gas. And like, I already had sketches and shit. I tried being sketching and drawing shit in there and shit. Like, I knew I wanted to take this little, it wasn't a persona at this point, it was just his name. Like, I'm gonna do something with his name. There was no gas can, there was no gas tank. I didn't even figure that out. It was like, this is the name. Like, I'm gonna pick, you know? And that was it.
Once you come out, and you start writing Gasoline, do you tell your friends or do you keep it a secret for a while?
All these motherfuckers knew. Like, I was here, like, oh, I got this new name. We gonna fuck around with this shit. Like, they'll never catch me because they're looking for one-on-one or I'm Gasoline. Like the most stupidest shit to say. It's the same shit. I'm still doing the same. They catch me, they're still gonna press charges. But like, I just didn't think like that. Like I said, I'm young and I'm dumb. A lot of decisions are made when you're young and dumb. And in retrospect, it wasn't the smartest decision, but it is what it is, and we learn, right?
What was your friend's reaction to the new name, Gasoline? Was it an immediate hit? Were they a little hesitant about it?
I don't remember really what my friends' reactions were to it. It wasn't even, I guess one of the things, like, it's not even their decisions. Like, it's my name. I'm rolling with it. Like whether you like it or not, I made a bunch of fart jokes and gas jokes. Oh, this is gas, fart. Like, yeah, I guess. And to this day, I still hear that shit. It's funny. But like, I couldn't care less. Like, it wasn't their, I don't even know what the fuck they thought. Like, I don't know. Like, they might have thought I was cool. They might have thought I was corny. They might have thought I was just, I don't know what they thought. I really, like I said, too young to really analyze your friends and how they're analyzing your situation. You know what I'm saying? Just like no, just, hey, I write gas? No, that's a fucking whack name. Okay, well, let's keep it moving. Like, it didn't stop anything. Like, and honestly, when I started with it, I was kind of hesitant on it because G's are, to this day, G's are some fucked up letters. They're just weird letters. S's are always nice, A's are all right, but like, G is just a weird letter. Ask any graff writer with a G name. It's just, there's only so many G's you can do that don't look like someone else's G, and sooner or later someone doesn't look like yours, and they're cool letters, you can fuck with them, but take some finessing, you know, it's not the easy, there's not a lot of G writers in the game, because it's a weird fucking letter. But hey, if you know what you're doing, you can fucking make anything work, I guess, so.
Once you have the name Gasoline, do you develop a plan on how to make that name known, like 101er? Or are you just playing it by ear?
Yeah, it's playing it by ear. Like I said, young and dumb. Like, you remember, flashback, I'm like 14, maybe 15, 14, 15. No 14 or 15-year-old kid has a plan for anything. I'm gonna do the same shit I did with this 101er shit, but I'm just gonna be gas now. That's the plan. That's the whole fucking book right there. Like, there's no ulterior, like, oh, I'm gonna try to like keep undercover. Like, I remember for a while, I tried not to tell people I was gas. Like, my friends obviously knew, but like, I try to like keep it under wrap, but how long does that last really? Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, people find out pretty quick and shit.
Do you go even harder with gas to catch everyone's attention?
I think maybe initially that was the plan. But again, it's not like my whole life, like, graph. It's like, I'm just gonna go paint as much as I paint, and I'll just try to do this one little, I'm like, I know that when I started doing gas shit, I started looking at it like, I wanna make this name a little bit doper than the first name. I know that much. I don't know how I'm gonna do it or what I'm gonna do with it, but I just know like, I had a different energy with it. It was the same, like, I'm going out and paint. It was like, I'm gonna do more with it, but I'm gonna make it better somehow. So I didn't even know how. It's just, I knew it needed to be better. It couldn't be the same one-trick pony again, you know? Plus, I was growing, so I guess the name itself is, when you grow as a person, I guess shit in your life grows with you. So.
While out riding these days, or those days, did you ever break any bones? Did you ever have any accidents while out on the street?
I've had multiple accidents and shit.
How about, can you tell us about getting electrocuted on a rooftop?
That was probably the worst accident of all with my brother, Rezik. Shit, to this day, my brother, shout out Rezik, shit. Fucking downtown LA on a rooftop. Not even a high rooftop, but it was like 2 stories, story and a half off of like Hill Street and 11th or 12th or some shit, Pico, some shit. And we're climbing up there before ladders and shit extended, so we actually had to climb the pole. So we climbed the pole to get up there. I go up there first. And I walk along to the edge of the roof, and I think I'm about to lean over the roof to tell him, yeah, it's cool, come up. And yeah, as my right hand got burnt here, there's a piece of metal coming out the roof, probably about my height, about 3 or 4 feet high, and it has all these cables coming out of it and shit going into the building. And for whatever reason, I guess like I'm using that as kind of leverage to lean over to like tell Rezik, hey, come up or something. Cause that's my last thing is hey, come up. And as I put my hand on it, I just remember all of a sudden just getting like pulled into the shit and being like, seeing the sparks and the flash. I can see like everything around me. I can't move my eyes, I can't move my body, but I can see everything in my peripheral around me flashing with a strobe light. And I can see my hand like touching this thing and this big bright like welding light right in my fucking, the web of my fucking thumb against where I'm touching it. And my other hand was like holding something else, and I'm just sitting there stuck, and like I can't hear Rezik yelling my name or whatnot. All I know is that shit, it's frying me, and like my body's telling me, let go, dumbass, like let go. But every time I try to let go, I can't. I guess the volt, like just how electricity works, it has my ass. And I guess, I don't know how, thank God, the thing fries me for, to me, it feels like 5 minutes. To him, he says it was like 10, 15 seconds. I don't know how long it was. And it just like shoots me back against the roof. And I don't know how, I just remember like being released and like hitting something on the roof, and then like fading back into hearing like, gas, 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 yo, gas. And he's like freaking out. He's like, I've been calling your name for like a minute and a half, bro. I'm thinking you're dead on the roof. And like, I lean over the roof, down back like a story down, like I'm just smoking. My whole body is just like, he's my witness, boy, Rezik. My shit's like smoldering. I'm sizzled. I'm steaming. I guess the word, I'm steaming. My body's made deep cooks. So I'm like, I'm steaming and shit. And I'm just like, my hair, my hand, my whole fucking web of my hand is like black. It's like all my epidermal layers like fried like bacon. I mean, you can chip off this little black crust of my skin, which all this shit's fried. I'm just like, what the fuck happened? He's like, you all right? I'm like, fuck this spot. Like, obviously. So I'll slide, don't know, remember how, get down this shit and get back in the car with him. Like, oh, you want to go to the hospital? Didn't know. And I was like, yeah, in retrospect, yeah, I should have fucking gone to the hospital. I probably almost just died. But young and dumb, you don't make executive decisions. Life story, a repetitive thing, right? Then fucking go home and just like, oh, I'll sleep this shit off. And like, yeah, woke up the next day, hand was, to this day, I still have like weird nerves in my thumb, but it's like, it is what it is. Like, you know, what do you do? Should you go to the doctor? Yes, you should. Did I go? No, I didn't. I just, you know, that is what it is. Yeah, I'm fucking lucky I didn't die.
After that happens, do you climb back down the ladder and go home, or do you complete the mission?
I'm fucked up. I go home. I'm just, my mind at that point, I'm still contemplating what the fuck happened. The whole time, residents like, go to the hospital, go to the hospital. Like, I think I'm like steaming, driving almost half of my house. I'm still like steaming. He's like, dude, you're all like, you have sweat all over you. You're like, your body is literally releasing steam. And I'm just like, don't worry about it. Don't worry about it. We're not that far. I think at that time, like in Echo Park, I think. So I wasn't that far. It was like a 10-minute, 5-minute drive, and I wasn't far. And fucking just going home and like laying down, and I think baby's mom, I should be my ex at the time, was like talking shit. Coming, I was like, all I'm thinking is, damn, you're over here talking shit to me for whatever reason. I almost died right now, but like, fuck it, whatever. Just went to sleep and woke up the next day. Like, that was crazy. It just kept it moving because young and dumb, you know. But yeah, that was definitely probably the worst adventure fucking doing graffiti.
It feels like once gas hits the scene, everyone pretty much knew 101er became gas. Before social media, how did the word spread so fast? Do you remember those times?
Sometimes just still hear motherfuckers talk a lot. Everybody, you know what I'm saying, birds and shit, you know, shit spreads like wildfire, you know? Some of the crazy shit today I find out because of a phone call. I mean, yeah, obviously you find out crazy shit because of social media, but to this day, I still find out some of the craziest news because of a phone call. Like, it doesn't take much, like, you know, especially because there was no social media and people just talk and talk and talk, and yeah, shit happens.
How soon after you begin writing gas do you join the MTA crew?
I was already from MTA. I was an MTA 101.
How do you join the MTA crew? Are you recruited? Do you remember?
We were just all, it was after, I know 70 got in first and Budget got in first, and I was just, it was like the same weekend. I don't even remember how we got it. We were just chilling around, hanging around together and shit. Fucking, I don't even remember. I know Demon's the one that put me down on that. Demon's the one that put me down. He's the one that put 70 down. Demon's the one that put a majority of the MTAs back in the 90s in MTA. Yeah, that was Hollywood days, just thumping around.
Can you name some of the other MTAs that were in the crew at that time when you joined?
At that time, like early 94, that'd be like Shroom, Sark, Berry, Blossom. Well, shit, at that time, I'm gonna flip you on this one. At that time, it was like Mir, NATO, Anger. Like, a lot of CBSs were from MTA back in the day because of the whole skate thing, you know what I'm saying? Even though when skate passed, he wasn't from CBS, he was from MTA, and he started the MTA thing. And so he had put a lot of people that were from CBS in MTA, even though they didn't push it as much as the CBS thing. A lot of people were in MTA back in the day. Like, yeah, there was Wes, Go-Go. Like, the ones that are still in today from like Skate's hand that put them in were like Wes, Go-Go, Strone, Blossom, Barry, Swan, and I feel like I'm forgetting one person, but like that are still into this day and active. I call all the people right now on my phone. I think that's it. Oh, Ghost, rest in peace.
Do you know the history of MTA? Who starts that crew?
Skate One, rest in peace, hands down, no questions asked, no like co-founded, he wanted to do this, we were gonna do, no, that's Skate's crew, hands down. You know, who's in charge right now, multiple people, and it's gone through Blossom's hands, but the founder, no questions, Skate One.
Do you know how Skate decides on the MTA letters?
From what I was told, something to do with the influence of knowing that there would no longer be an RTD in LA, and like, well, someone's gonna get it. So like, you know, he's a smart man, I guess, and he saw a vision. This is based off what I was told too, Coach, all the history stuff.
What was the original meaning of MTA? What did it stand for originally?
Like Metro Transit Assassins.
Did you ever meet Skate?
No, I met Skate once in passing, but not like, would Aaron remember who I was? No. I was too young. Like that. I was young, knocking around on the block on my skateboard, and here comes, it was Sheik, who lived across the street from me, Size, Melody, Shower from CBS, and Skate. You know, that was my one passing it, like seeing Skate, his actual like sizes, dude, like how big him and Size were. And I was like, whoa, these guys are huge, you know? And yeah, That was my brief meal. I never met him, kicked it with him, hung out. So I'll be the first. I'm not gonna sit here in front like, oh, we used to kick it. I don't front, front like shit like that. If you didn't know him, you didn't know him. You just, it is what it is. I wish I had,
Do other members talk about the type of person Skate was? Do you know? Can you give us a little insight on who he was?
I mean, it's not even all the insight I have off of Skate is based off of old CBSs, the older MTAs. Like, all I know is he was a stand-up dude. Like, I didn't mean, like, everyone spoke highly of him. He was a stand-up dude. I heard he was a big brother to a lot of dudes. He had your back. Like, if you rolled his Skate, from what I told, he brought an aura of protection to people around him. He made people feel, I had people tell me that I felt safe when I was around Skate. Like, I heard people tell me that. He just like, he had a good energy. He was a good man, had a good heart, you know what I'm saying? Down for his shit, you know what I'm saying? Like, I've never heard anything bad about Skate. It's always positive shit, And I know he's missed by a lot of people, and I really regret not actually meet him on a personal level, but all I can do is try to like push for his career to be, what it is.
Do you know how he got the name Skate?
I don't speak on things I don't know. Can't say, man. It's a dope name. I would never, that's one of those few names, if you write Skate on the West Coast, someone is going to tell you something. People write names and pass away, and motherfuckers be taking their names out, and people don't act like shit happened. No one's going to tell you, like, Skate's one of those names you can't take, and you ain't going to write Sleeves, you ain't going to write Skate, and ain't no one be like, oh, that's cool. Like, you ain't some names you can't take. Those names have, like, infamously been documented for years, He's just one of those names.
As you mentioned, Skate unfortunately does pass away. Was there any talk about ending MTA once he's no longer with us?
I wasn't from MTA at that point. I got maybe a year or so after that.
After Skate's passing, who takes over the crew? Or does it become more of a collaboration?
Blossom becomes, I guess, weirdest word is sole beneficiary, maybe? Sole controller, Queen Bee.
Around Hollywood Boulevard and Cherokee, I believe, there's a Skate on the grill of a tattoo shop. Is that the original Skate Throwy, or is it a tribute? Do you know?
I want to say Baba did that. I know Baba from the original old school Baba, Highland Park. He'll be able to tell you. I want to say he did it or Skate did it. It's either he did it or they did it for him as soon as he passed away. They did it, and it's been on that thing since like he passed. It's still there today to this day, I think. Don't quote me on that. I just remember because it was Baba's spot, and it was on the. So I want to say Baba did it, but I'm not exactly 100% sure.
After Skate's passing, what steps does MTA take to become one of the biggest crews in Los Angeles? Do they go even harder to pay tribute to his memory? Do you know?
At the point I got in, there was always Skate talk. It was always like, the older ones, they were like, well, Skate would want you to do this. Skate, like, especially with Demon, because Demon got to think, like, what I got it into, Blossom wasn't exactly around. I think she was taking care of some stuff, elsewhere. And Demon was the one that really he was the one who put people on game and told you, hey, this is Skate's crew, this is what, and Demon. That was the other one I was thinking about, the Skate put down Demon, because he was the one who brought me, as well as majority of the 90s and early 2000s MTAs in. He was the one that connected all the LA people to the Valley and the Valley to LA. He's the one that took me out to the Valley, before I didn't care less about the Valley. To this day, I still, no disrespect, I couldn't care less about the Valley. It's just out there. But being an LA writer, I never even thought about the Valley, like what's out there. Nothing's out there. Demon's the one that took me on a bus and like, no, you need to understand there's a whole nother world out here of graffiti. You need to like be part of it. You could be ignorant if you want, but like don't sleep because there's some dope people out here doing dope shit. Dope people are my friends now. And it's like, yeah, Demon really put a lot of people on game. He brought a lot of people together. A lot of people know a lot of people in this game because of that guy Demon, who's no longer around. He just one day decided not to do graffiti, but yeah.
I'd like to ask you about a few MTA writers now,
sure,
if you don't mind. First of all, Demon, as a matter of fact, do you know what happened to him? And
yeah, I'm trying to say the nicest way, he snapped. He snapped one day. He just got sick of it all. Like, what do you mean all of it? You, me, the graph game, people. I don't know. He snapped. He just didn't want to be part of this thing anymore and gave me a phone call one day and said, I'm not from these crews. I don't write graffiti anymore. Don't call me. Like, no one knows why he did what he did but him, and I respect any man's decision how he wants to live his life. That's his life, but I really don't know why he walked. That's something he'll take to his grave, I guess. A lot of us have that question, wonder why? We don't fucking know. You know, that's, you know. At this point, I guess it's irrelevant as to why. It's just so much time has gone. It'd be more something I wanted closure for back in the day when it happened, but I never got it, so life goes on, you know. You know, I've seen him out there doing whatever he's doing, you know, we'll wish him the best, you know, like, you know, it's the path he chose, you know.
Another well-known member of MTA is Smear. He was up all over the city at one point. Do you remember when he was recruited into the crew?
He got put, I know he got put, I don't think I was around when he got put in. He got put in through Blossom, and so I'm not sure exactly how he got, I think it was, I want to say it was through Blossom, like old affiliations, that how he got put down. I was not there when he got put down.
Do you know why Smear eventually stops writing?
Writing graffiti or MTA? MTA, I think he just did his own thing with the RTH, doing like this thing. He stopped writing? I'm not sure he stopped writing as far as I know. I mean, he's not around here anymore. I know he's out, I know where he's at, but I'm gonna put his business out there, but just life, I guess. I like this shit. I thought I like Smear, he's a dope dude.
Another well-known writer at the time was Fetish, MTA. Can you say a few words about her contribution to graffiti?
That's awkward. That's my baby's mom. Honestly,
she was one of the first females.
She wasn't. I mean, she can take it as she wants. I'll be the first to say it on the track. She was not one of the first female writers in LA. She's actually one of the later ones. And if you're mentioning people who did like put in work for MTA graffiti, like she did what she did, but she didn't. She's like, I'm not talking shit because my baby mom. Like I said, this applies to women too. There's a lot of graph writers in the game who have a quick run or a good run, but once it's done, it's done. Like, you know what I'm saying? It is what it is, you know? No disrespect to her. I mean, she had a life, she moved on, whatever, chose other venues' life. She didn't choose to pursue the graffiti like that. And that's okay. A lot of people do, nothing wrong with that. But I wouldn't say she was one of the first graffiti females in LA. There was a lot of them before. And there was ones that came around the same time she did that did like 1,000 times more damage, you know? You know, that's nothing against her, because there's nothing, she's a cool person, I have no problem with her, but I just want to be, I don't want to sit here and you're telling me she was considered a dope graffiti artist. That was like, she was the first one, because nah, there was a shitload of them before, you know? There was Omega before her and shit, there was Pedal, there was Cuddles, there was Nestle, there was fucking, obviously take back Lady Pink and all that shit, the other New York ones. There was girls doing it before her. Like, yeah, she's the ones that are doing it with all the tagging shit. There was Dalvin, there was Nessia, there's a lot of the girls out there. There's fucking Diva, there was Tribe, there was a lot of other girls, there's Queen, you know what I'm saying? There's Envy, there's a lot of the girls out there who are doing it. You know, I'm not gonna sit here and be like, small girl Spunna, you know, there's a lot of girls out there doing it back in the day, like, you know, like who really did it, like, you know? So, I mean, yeah, she did her thing, but there's, like, I wouldn't say she was the one by far, you know? I'm not knocking her, but just, she wasn't the one. She was one of a lot of them, you know?
Does MTA have regular meetings, or is it more of a loosely based crew?
No, there's regular meetings, it's coordination. Can't run any kind of enterprise or business without being in cahoots with each other and touching bases, you know, that's how shit gets fucked up.
How does MTA recruit new members? Is it more of a everyone takes a vote, or do some members have special rank where they just let someone on they feel deserves to be on?
We'll see. I mean, that's a kind of blank statement. How does anyone get in anything? I mean, like, obviously, first and foremost, you got a vibe off you. I'm not with the whole, like, people getting into crews just because of any old reason. I mean, you vibe with the right people in any crew and get close to them and be in situations with them, they're going to vibe off you. If enough people in MTA speak highly of you and represent you and speak well of you, I'm going to go ahead and co-sign. I don't got time in this day and age to nitty-gritty go to dinner with you, intimately know you. And in this day and age, I'll keep it real with all my crews. I don't want to intimately know everybody. I got my own life going on. As long as you're a solid individual, you hold it down, you know, you hold your head high, you're an honest dude or girl, and, you know, you paint shit, and you're down for the pound of it and shit, and just, you know, that's really all I'm asking any of my fucking crews. You know, just be a real motherfucker. In this day and age, that's all I ask anybody. Be a real motherfucker. That's, you know. Be 100, you know. If you don't want to beef my crew, cool. You don't got to beef my fucking crew. Just come paint with us. You like hanging out, hang out. That's for any crew. You don't got to be in someone's crew just because you're hanging out. Some people get that misconception. You hang out with somebody for 6 months, you automatically got to get in their crew. That's a pretty fucked up way to look at it. You just be friends. You know what I'm saying? There's no real process. It's not like you do this, and you're an MTA. I mean, every case is different. Every situation is different. Every person is different. You know, there's no blanket statement to answer that question, really.
Have there ever been any writers that you were hesitant to welcome into MTA that later surprised you and blew up more than you expected?
There's writers that blew up more than I expected, but I can say I was hesitant to have them in. I was like, oh, they're doing what they're doing. Wow, they're really doing it. I didn't think they were, that's cool. You know, I don't doubt any. If I were hesitant about you, then I should have brought that up when they brought you to my attention saying, hey, I want to get such and such a crew. That's the point. I should have been like, well, hey, what about, you know, and if I had hesitation, that's the time to bring it up. Once a motherfucker's in your crew, girls in your crew, don't start bitching about them now. You fucking let them in the front door. You had ample time to say no. So that hesitation shit, if I'm hesitant, that's a red flag already. Why am I hesitant? You know what I'm saying? I might not like something about you. That doesn't make me hesitant. If I'm hesitant, that's something I should probably bring up to people. So no, there's never been anyone I was hesitant to put in my crew. Because if I was hesitant to put you in my crew, you're not in my crew. I'm gonna fuck with anyone says, I don't want you in my crew. There's a reason why, and I'll speak it loudly enough to enough people, they'll hear it. And if they don't, well then maybe I gotta, check where I'm standing there. But no, if you got an MTA, you got an MTA because someone wanted you an MTA or someone saw something maybe I didn't see, and I have enough faith in my brotherhood that if they make that executive decision, I'm gonna back them on that shit. So.
Later down the line, you come up with another innovation. You start hitting up the famous red gas can throwing. How do you come up with that idea?
I didn't come up with that idea. Some guy in 1942 had to haul gas around, and he was tired of holding it in his hand, so he put it in a canister, and I just stole his idea. So it's imagery, it's stolen idea. I thought it's not stolen. I saw it somewhere, and that's what goes back to when I told you about the imagery and the 101 sign. It's like there's certain graph writers in the game. I remember Pot from MAK. He used to do this little 3 dots, like this little finger. I want to say Mondo from MAK or someone used to do the foot. It was like a foot thing. Coffee, used to draw a little coffee cup. Certain things you just see on the walls, imagery, the old Nuke and Duke characters, the silhouettes in downtown, and when you see things at the wall, it just clicks in your head, Like the same thing, you see a Target sign, it doesn't have to say Target. You saw the sign already and you already know it's Target, And that's basically where that comes from. It's like imagery. And truth be told, I'll be the first to say I don't really have a throw up. I'm not really good with throw ups. I can draw regular letters, but I'm not a cool throw up guy. So that's something to do in place of a throw up. It's faster than a piece, but
Do you remember the first time you hit up the gas can? And what's everyone's reaction to your new design?
The first time I ever hit a gas can wasn't a gas can, it was a gas pump, because the gas pump came before the gas can. And the first time I ever hit it up was on Vermont and what's that? Where Extra Large store used to be on Vermont, south of Fountain and north of Sunset Hollywood. There was a little alley there. I was painting there with Axis one day and some CBS's, and I was because it was 96. It was 90, yeah, it was 96. It was a little O, and that was the 96 was the logo for the 76 thing. I was trying to play with it already. I was like, well, there's a 76 logo. I can make a little ball here, and instead of the 76, it'll say 96 because that'll be the year. That was a year after I was writing it. So I know, let me try to do some cool letters. I guess it was a GAS, and the A was a gas pump. It was a pretty basic one. I remember Axis was there with me. He was my big brother. Shout out to Axis and shit. He was like, you should try it like this and try it like this. He kind of did things in bells and whistles to make it way cooler than I would have made it and shit. But I kind of looked at what he did do it in the 2 tones and shit I saw, and I was like, that's kind of cool. So I started doing the gas pump first, and then one day sitting at work doing the gas pump, I guess I started thinking what other gas tank pump canisters, containers, things can you draw? What else can I draw? What can I do? I tried the gas mask things. I tried all kind of gas, different shit. You just look up shit's gas, whatever, and could you draw that thing into a visual thing? Someone could see, oh, that's a gas related thing. Yeah, so just imagery, something that someone's gonna see, it's gonna click in their head. It's gonna be easy to remember,
At some point, you also begin writing super unleaded, another creative name. What leads to that decision as well? Do you remember coming up with that new moniker?
It's a handle. It's an Instagram handle. I mean, it's like a pimp named Slickback. You know what I'm saying? It just sounds nicer. It's just it's catchy. You know what I'm saying? I don't know. I don't even know where the fuck it came from. It's like, okay, gasoline, 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 gasoline. Okay, I've done everything I can do with this gas, gasoline, gas one, gas oh shit. I'm like, okay, well, like, there's different levels of gasoline. Like, there's regular gasoline, and there's like unleaded gasoline, and there's like super duper unleaded gasoline. And like, okay, so now I'm not just gas. I'm the best level of gas. I'm not like 105 racing fluid because I write NASCAR, but like the basic gasoline, that's the highest level you're gonna get for, you know? So that's the super unleaded shit. That's the best shit. You want the good shit, you know? And then that was just the name, just a fucking handle, I guess. Sounds nice.
Things haven't always been rosy for the MTA crew. In the early 2000s, a huge rivalry begins with another well-known crew from Los Angeles. Can you talk about how this animosity first begins? Why does it begin?
Well, I'd rather not dove too much. Actually, to tell you the truth, I'd rather not dove into that at all, period. For the simple fact, it's just energy, a thing of life with me, that I don't feel things of a negative nature in my life should be giving any energy at all whatsoever. So I'll just go ahead and pass that whole topic on and it's not even worth talking about. I don't want to entertain that energy at all.
Understandable. Moving on. Later in the 2000s, MTA makes history. A giant bridge-to-bridge MTA is painted in the LA River, from the 4th Street Bridge all the way to the 1st Street Bridge. It's considered to be the biggest roller ever.
I think to this day, they can say what they want. I think it still is, but yeah.
Do you remember hearing about this ambitious plan? And who mentions it first?
I do remember hearing this plan. I do not want to say who the mastermind is, just for obvious reasons. I don't want to put anyone's name on that title, but yeah, like, they know they are, we know they are. Anyone in the crew who thinks like, oh, like, that was my idea. No, we all know whose idea it was. Don't be cheeky and say it wasn't, because I know exactly how idea it was. And he knows who it is, and he probably prefer I not say whose it was. We all know, and that's really what matters.
When you first hear the plan, what are your thoughts about it?
Truth be told, I wasn't even, for the record too, I will say this so they can say what they want. I wasn't even in the state when it happened. Or I wasn't in the state, I wasn't in the county when it happened. I heard about it, and I honestly didn't believe it. And then I saw that shit. I didn't participate in it. I wasn't here to participate in it. Me and like 4 people weren't even around. But I was like, yeah, they fucking, like, these motherfuckers did this shit. Like, this is fucking mind blowing. Like, then I saw the videos and the stories, and I saw that shit, and I was like, damn, that's probably the most proudest shit. That shit blew my mind. That shit blew my fucking mind. To this day, it still blows my mind. There's a lot of crews done big shit and shit, but that shit, the teamwork and the dream work, that shit happens. That shit was, I mean, you can kind of still see it now. Most of the shit is faded away. You still see it, but yeah.
Do you know how many people does it take to complete, or how long did it take to complete?
Multiple days and multiple people. I don't know the exact numbers, hours, but yeah, multiple shit, like, yeah.
Once it's finished, does the crew celebrate? How does the crew celebrate?
Like, if there was a dinner and a banquet for that shit, like I said, I wasn't, like I said, I think I was still like 2 weeks out of coming back. So like, if they had a dinner and a banquet or rented a hall, I didn't fucking know. I didn't hear about that. I mean, yeah, I think that was like a really big nut. I don't think there was anything to celebrate. Like, the mission was done. Like, they did great. Like, you know, the crew basked in that shit for years. People, every time you run into somebody, they'd be like, oh my God, you're from MTA, that big. I was like, man, my crew did good. I'm not gonna sit there and fake the funk and say I did something I didn't do. Like, my crew did really well. I'm proud of them. It was amazing. To this day, it's still, they say, it's a phenomenal feat. If they celebrated, I don't know. I'm gonna ask some people on that though.
After the giant MTA is complete, it's all over the newspapers, all over the television news. How long after does the crew get a feeling that the police might be investigating as to who?
I don't think anyone had that feeling. No one told me, hey, you should be careful. Like, there was never that feeling given. It was just like, shit happened, you know?
Far down, a couple of months down the line though, several members of the MTA crew are arrested and charged with various crimes relating to the giant MTA. Do you remember hearing the news everyone's homes have been raided?
I heard something like that. Yeah.
Do you know what was the official charge? Because I believe they dropped several of the charges.
I could not comment. I don't want to comment on misleading information. I said I was not a part of that thing. I'm from the team, I ain't lying, but like, I just don't want to give misinformation.
At this time, MTA is also the first graffiti crew to be hit with a modified gang injunction, which means they couldn't hang out with other MTA members in public. They had an adult curfew and couldn't possess any writing tools. How does this ruling affect the crew as a whole?
It doesn't affect the crew as a whole. It affects anybody that was deemed being a member of the crew. You know, if you were found to be on that list of people who are like, I could tell them everyone in this room is from MTA. That doesn't mean shit. Like, you know, until you've been charged as being, if it was something, it's kind of a he say, she say. To the ones that had something above them because of that, I guess they had to be careful of that shit. To those who didn't, they didn't, you know?
Do you know if this injunction was only for 5 years or was it permanent?
It's gone. That thing has been gone. It's just, they took that thing out, not just off of us, but everybody. We're not special. Like, that shit's gone. They don't have that shit anymore. It's like, found unconstitutional. That whole RICO Act, old gang injunction for gangs, they took it off of gangs, you know what I'm saying? So like, we were way, like, yeah, think about it. That's just on gangs and how much is really coming into effect. If it does, it's used more as like a reason just to round up and fuck with them than actually doing anything. So whatever the reason was, they took that shit away. And like I said, it didn't affect everybody in MTA. It affected like 3 or 4 people who were actually indicted in the thing. Yeah, everyone else didn't affect you because you weren't part of that.
Definitely a historic feat by the MTA crew.
Well, thank them. Well,
legendary. Now, I want to move on to a well-known writer that passed away recently, I'd like to say. He's a graffiti legend just like you. You've called him the king of slap tags. Can you tell us about Search, RTHUTI? Do you remember when you first met him?
I remember the first time I met Search was with Baser and Sheik taking me to yards. I want to say 1991, Sanborn Yard, or 92, 91, 92, Sanborn Yard. That was the first time I met him.
What type of person was Search?
Scared the shit out of me. He first came to me, he scared the shit out of me. He was fucking off. He was in the little tag banging shit. So he was like, you know, on the thirst mode for like the, you know, for the op. And then when he ran, he like super strong. Like I was like a little kid at the time, like what, 11 years old. He ran like, where you from? Like, man, I'm like, I'm nowhere, I don't gangbang. Like, I don't, fuck, this guy's tripping. You know, and I knew all his other homeboys, it was the AOB back in the day on the other side of the yard, but I hadn't seen them. I barely walked in the yard. This dude just came out like the side, going all crazy, like, you know, just like, super aggressive. It kind of fucking snapped me back. Like, what the fuck? I went over there and like talked to other guys, and he was like, what's up, homie? Over there? This is how he is, you know, like, cool. I had met him that day, and this is like a perfect, like, don't judge a book shit. Like, I had met him, and then I was like, this guy's kind of like a loped out dude, but you know, whatever, he's cool, he's doing his thing over there. And then like a couple weeks later, I was with some of these cats, and we were over off of like Normandy and Beverly at some soccer store. It was one of these dudes from like AOB, I guess his parents owned like some kind of like soccer outlet. They sold like soccer clothes and soccer shoes and balls and shit, and like they needed someone to do artwork. So he was up in there painting these characters on the wall. And I remember like tripping on that shit, like, oh shit, that's that same dude I saw at that yard at the block. Like, damn, homeboy gets down. Like, look, this is the same subway. Like, with being young, you know what you want to see. So when you see someone's like, oh shit, like this guy's, you know, really getting down with these characters and shit. This wall looks pretty dope. You know what I'm saying? Like, oh, just respect. I was like, I think that was the first time I really met him. That was like a week or so after that Sanborn incident. That was the first time I actually met him. Like, yo, this is the homie Search. I'm like, oh yeah, I met you the other day over there. This, and this. Like, okay, really in and out. We didn't really, you know, like talk too long a day, but like throughout the years, I would just see him growing up. You know what I'm saying? In Hollywood and downtown and fucking mainly Hollywood area, especially with the MTA. He used to stay up there in Hollywood and shit. You know, that was my boy. We'd always rate each other and just hang out and chill, go to his mom's pad, just, you know, shoot the shit. You know what I'm saying? He was just a good dude, solid dude. Like, and then as time went on, he was just a solid cat. He was one of those, like, I have a lot of friends in the graph game. I don't talk to him every day. But when I talk to him, that conversation is just deep and 100 and shit, and it just means the world to me. He was just one of those cats. And then like, when I got with the girl, my wife now, Cindy, she was up in Hollywood. Like, there was a lot of times I would come by to like go see her and stuff, and I'll stay in the valley. So I would like stop by his pad to and from. Like, we'd go to shows and hang out. He was just like, he didn't have a car too. You know what I'm saying? I liked hanging out with him, so we just chill. And over the years went on, he's like, we just really close. You know what I'm saying? We didn't kick it every single day. We weren't super best. We were best friends. We didn't kick it every single day. Like on the weekends, we'd go to shows, events. He was just my go-to dude, and just, you know, just a solid cat. Just that's actually for a reason for a long time why I never got in UTI. They'd ask me, and I was like, I don't want to be from UTI because like my best friends from UTI. I'm not down with the whole like, oh, my friend is. I did that before, and this is not always the way shit should be, you know. And it was just good times, you know. I mean, that's a great dude. There's too many good times, too many good memories of that guy.
Do you recall getting the news Search had passed away?
Yeah.
How do you find out? And what's your immediate reaction to the news?
I hate the thought. That was Gogo from MTA is what told me. That's who told me. My immediate reaction was, I guess, what they say, shock. I guess instant shock. Like I just fucking, I physically broke down. I was at my house in Hollywood. I think my wife had gone to do something. I was home. My son is probably like 2, 3. He's like 3 years old, 2, 3 years old, baby this time, 4 maybe most. And like, I just broke down. Like I was sober. I was recently, so I think I was like a year or so sober or so. I was not drinking alcohol. I just snapped. I just fucking broke the fuck down. Like, fuck, what happened? He called me. I physically broke down the floor, started like crying. And like getting sick in my stomach, dry heaving, and my son came up and was like, Daddy, what's wrong? And I was just like, go in the other room. Because I don't want your son to see you breaking down like that. It's like fucked up shit, you know? And I just remember calling my wife and just being like, Eric died, or I said Search died, or Eric died, or whatever I said. And she heard me, but like I was so in tears and so fucking caught up in my emotion that she really didn't hear. She said, what did you say? And I said it again. And she's like, he died, and this and that. Like, I was just fucked up. Really, just thinking about now, I was like, really my best friend, you know? And then I actually told her, I said, if you don't get home, like, in the next 10 or 15 minutes, like, I'm going to the store, I'm getting a bottle of Hennessy, and I'm going to relapse, which is really fucked up, because Search is one of the 2 people, you know, between Search and my boy Pierre from MTA, who were like, really got on my ass about my alcoholism. Like, man, you know, this is bad for you. I don't want this for you. It actually pisses me off and hurts me to see you like this, and to see, like, him pass like that. That was the first where the devil-minded alcoholism takes you to, which is kind of fucked up. And she got home in time, and I didn't drink, you know, I did good, but like that shit, you know, it fucks me up. It fucks me up thinking about it right now. It's fucked up. Like, to take you back, it's a sad day, like, you know.
In your opinion, how should graffiti history remember Search?
I mean, it's just like whoever writes this shit. I mean, like, you know what I'm saying? Like, I don't even care how history remembers graffiti. I'm gonna say how I remember Search, man. He was an innovator. He was ahead of the time. He's honestly, to me, and you can debate if you want to interview, everyone's entitled to opinion. I think he's one of the reasons why slap tags are such a big thing in the game now, because they were cool, but he had more of them than anybody, to the point where people wanted to aspire to be like he had it. You know what I'm saying? That's all I want to be remembered for. Just, you know, like, just remember who he was. Remember he was here and he did his shit, and, you know, he was a real motherfucker. He was an honest motherfucker. He, you know, he had your back. He was real. He was a solid individual, and like, he was an innovator of that shit, you know? You know, I'm not saying he was the only person doing slap tags, but he was doing slap tags for a majority of the people in the city, being at the time the Colt crew, that were putting a majority of the slap tags, the handmade stickers and Search and shit. That's Search's shit. Before that, everyone was like just writing on the stickers. He's the one that started mass producing. He would make stickers for a lot of well-known graff writers in the city. They can vouch for it and come to your house and give you a stack of like hundreds and hundreds of stickers that he handmade for you to go put up. Like, I know writers to this day who still have those stickers. Like, they're never gonna get rid of those. Like, yeah, put them all up, but I'm gonna keep these original ones he made. You'll never get them again. You know, I have original Search slap tags. You know what I'm saying? Like, anyone who sees me will want one. If I have one, I'm welcome to give them to you. Just take care of them, because they're originals. You want them to get made again, you know? Just remember them, you know? He's one of the few people I hit up on my pieces, because he's my brother, and, you know, I won't ever let his name die. As long as I'm here, I'm his name on the walls, like, on me forever. That's just my get down.
Besides graffiti, you've also battled some personal demons. You spent several years drinking a bottle of Hennessy a day.
Well, so, yeah, that was a demon.
When does that begin?
Fuck, that's a crazy story. I want to get down to really graph related. Like, yeah, at a bar with an older man, offered me Hennessy. I drink it one day. I was like, oh, he's like, you should only drink this. From there on out, fucking start drinking Hennessy. That's probably like 19, 20 or something. Like, I remember I wasn't even a drinker. Don't be twisted. Like, when I was young, I didn't have to drink. Beer, like, tasted like shit to this day. I think beer is kind of a shitty drink. It tastes like shit. and you have to drink a lot of it to get fucked up. So let's just smoke weed to this day, smoke weed, you know? But I don't know, something about it. This old dude's like, here, youngster, try on this shit. You'll be good. Don't drink this beer shit. And like, I drank it one day and it felt so good. It was bomb. The next day I went to the store, like I didn't want to drink beer no more, try beers or ales. Like, this shit was the shit. It's not, I mean, don't get me wrong, I'm gonna pump it up. It was the shit. It felt like the shit. It appeared to be the shit. But at the end of the day, all it did was drag my life through shit. So that's alcoholism for you.
Right.
But yeah.
Did drinking interfere with your graffiti?
Fuck yeah. Yeah, I mean, well, did drinking interfere with my graffiti? My scrawling my name shittily on a wall? No, not at all. It enhanced my graffiti, if anything, because no fucks are given. When a graffiti writer is drunk with a spray can, there's no artistic value to anything. You're just fucking scrawling your name on the wall, and it's like the best feeling in the world and shit. It doesn't have to look good. You feel really good while you're drunk doing it. It's like the best shit ever. And even though I don't do it every day now, it's like the best feeling. I understand why people do it. It's a freedom of expression. It's just letting energy out into the world, and it feels great. You know what I'm saying? Like, did it influence it? Yeah, did it influence like real dope creative graffiti? Not really. A lot of fun graffiti, not really dope graffiti. Like, not art. Graffiti, yes. Art, no. That's a better way to put it.
Why do you ultimately stop drinking? And how do you stop drinking? Do you go cold turkey?
Well, reasons being why is one day I was not feeling good for a weekend and didn't drink that Saturday. And Sunday night was in some in-laws' house. And body just basically shut down, or was in the beginning process of shutting down. And like, I weaned it off the whole day thinking I'd be all right. Got home to LA. Tried to lay down in the bed, didn't feel too good, was shaking. Wife was like, you going to the hospital? I was like, no, I'll be okay. Went to the hospital, they checked my vitals. This was supposed to be here, it was here. This was supposed to be here, it was here. Shit was just out of whack. And they're like, look, sir, we're gonna pump you up with these IVs. And by the time all these 3 or 4 bags have drained and gotten you, you should be good to go. Fit as a fucking peach, you out the door. Somewhere in the mix of that shit, I started feeling cold and my chest started hurting. And I told the nurse, I'm like, hey, my chest hurts. And she's like, are you sure you're okay? I'm like, no, my chest really hurts. So as soon as those bags were done, they got my ass up. And they tried to walk my ass down the hallway, but I couldn't fully expand my chest. I was just buckled over like this in pain, feeling super cold. And she had me put my chest up onto an x-ray machine and try to x-ray my chest. I couldn't even do that, I couldn't fully expand. I said it felt like someone was stabbing my chest. And she knew what it was, but you know, their job. She took the x-ray, took my ass back in the room. 10 minutes later, came in and said, sir, you're not going home. You have full-blown pneumonia. So I was in the hospital for about fucking, supposed to be 70, 80 days. Bullshit, I was there for like 10, 15 days, I can't remember. But yeah, I was just there and fucking, yeah, I was fucking walking pneumonia. Why is this happening to me, doc? You fucking drink too much. You're an alcoholic piece of shit. Your body can't process alcohol. You fucking, your blood, if you know how the body works, your blood goes into the kidney, your liver, whatever. And that whole fucking function of that thing is to purify your blood back into your system. But if your dumbass is putting so much liquor in your body that your body, when it comes, sends the shit in, it's so fucked up and there's so much shit going on inside of it, it can't purify it. You're pulling in bad blood and you're pumping out bad blood. And see how long you do that shit before the body just says, you know what, fuck this shit. And so, yeah. He goes, I wasn't dying of cirrhosis. I have no long-term effects of it, you know, but doctor's pretty much like, you drink a shitload of liquor. You shouldn't drink liquor. You need to stop this shit. And there was a moment of clarity. What do I want? I want to see my wife crying and my kids crying and Serge came to visit me there in teary-eyed. Like, a lot of friends talk to me like, you need to be around. You got a wife, you got kids. You need to stop this shit. And it's, you know, everything's fun when you're doing it, but when you get retrospect to look back at all that shit can be taken away, you're like, ah, fuck this shit. I just gave it up. You know? Honestly, I'll say it now on camera, it's probably the best fucking choice I ever made. Because, you know, life's a lot better.
After that incident, have you not touched alcohol since then?
I've touched alcohol, I don't drink it though.
How long now have you been sober?
Shit, February 21st, 7 days after Valentine's Day. This year of 2022 will be 6 years. So 6 years and 3 months, 4 months, 5 months. And 7th house, yeah.
Why is representing yourself in a sober light so important to you now?
I mean, representing myself in a sober light now is important because this is how people meet you. It says, I'd be damned for someone to have met me 20 years ago and have a judgment of something I said or did or some foolish action that alcohol influenced. And that's the understanding someone has of who I am as my character. So much so they would go out there and defecate my character to somebody else based off, you know, it's like, you're speaking on the old me, you know what I'm saying? I don't live there anymore, so like, we're not talking about that, like, you know what I'm saying? And if you haven't met the new me, allow me to introduce myself on a clean slate, apologize for my past behaviors, and let's move from here on out. You know, I think everyone deserves that. If you had a bad past and you generally want to change, you know, like, you know, especially being someone who suffers from addiction, this shit, like, it's fucked up. When you're caught up in that black hole of shit, you make a lot of bad decisions, you do a lot, you probably hurt a lot of people subconsciously, not even know you're doing it. It's just like, you know, you want to be remembered that way? Like when you pass away, is that what you want to be remembered for? You know what I'm saying? Like that drunk asshole at the party who said that shit? Or you want to be remembered as, hey, that guy who, you know, he was doing not too bad a while ago and he did some fucked up things, but he's a better person now. And like, you respect the person a lot more for that, for making, you know, like being honest with himself and just, you know, cleaning your act out. I say, I ain't perfect, I do drugs. I still party, don't get me wrong, but I just don't drink because drinking is what was fucking me up and drinking is what almost fucking killed me, you know? I'm not sitting here be a fucking McGruff talking about don't do drugs. Like, I endorse drug use at the right place, the right time, for the right reasons, to the right person, you know, who's mentally stable. That's, you know? I'm just saying drinking wasn't for me and my life's a lot better without it. And as the PSA, if you think your life is fucked up and you're drinking and shit, maybe you should really look at the alcohol in your life and pull that out of your life and then tell me your life is fucked up, because it's probably not your life, it's fucked up. Enough with that.
Since you've stopped drinking, you've found a new artistic purpose. You've painted over 100 electrical boxes all over Los Angeles. How do you first come up with the idea of painting these boxes?
I won't say I came up with the idea. The idea was presented to me visually. I saw people, several artists in the city who had painted boxes through various programs. And these programs had like 4 or 5 or 6 boxes each round. So it wasn't like a significant amount. I would just see the boxes there and knew that somehow, some way, someone had permission to do them. I inquired to teacher, the box painter, and inquired to Jennifer Corson, who's she's just an artist in Silver Lake, but a friend of mine now. I actually caught her painting a box one day, and I kind of asked her the rundown of it. She gave me a quick spiel, how you get into it, going to the city. Went over to the city, got a box. They said to give me more boxes. I painted the box. I said I wanted more boxes. They told me they couldn't give me boxes. Went back and forth with them. Found out they pretty much didn't give me boxes because I was bugging them and no other reason than because of that. So I just kind of took it upon myself to start painting boxes, and no one really seemed to mind. You know, it got to the point where I painted so many, they endorsed it. I started trying to figure out ways to paint different boxes in different areas of the city, talking to people, and I was like, you know, what's the best way to do it? Like, you know, do boxes for the community. Like, what city hall council member is going to tell you they don't want butterflies in a box or a picture of a city or fire department or police related themes? And it's community shit. So once you have community shit on the boxes, then it's pretty much like, and now at this point, it's beyond like, oh, trying to make it, I'm not endorsing anyone just go, there's times I've had cops pull up guns and trip the fuck out because they don't know what's going on. Because like when they stop me now, I'm selling myself. I'm telling them exactly who I am and pointing out various locations that they can recognize. Because initially it wasn't like that. Initially it was handcuffs a lot of times and a lot of quick talking and but I didn't know, I thought I could. And a couple times I almost got taken down for this shit because like they're just doing their job and they get a phone call of vandalism. There you are with a spray can in your hand. You don't have no paperwork in your hand. It's kind of a wobbler, you know, and they're not really too cool with that shit, you know? So.
What year do you paint your first box?
Fuck. I want to say 2016 or 18, I can't remember. I want to say maybe 18.
Your first box was located on 6th and Flower. What do you first paint there?
Cityscape. Yeah.
Did you have any hesitation painting these boxes since you were known for illegal graffiti?
Well, the first box I had permitted by the city, so it's like, it's the total opposite. It's almost like cockiness. Like, I want to stay on this corner and like, see how long, it was like testing the waters. Like, they can't press charges on me for this shit, and no matter what they do. So, let me now I can paint 2, 3, 4 boxes in a day, complete beginning to end. When I first started doing it, that first box took me like 3 days to do it because I was doing it at job in downtown LA as a bike messenger. Like when I had downtime, like doing the sunset, going to do some work, going back, doing the clouds, going to do work. The next day coming back to LA, I kind of like spread out over days. And the reason I did that, well, first of all, it was my first box. And I had no fucking idea what I was doing, or I was never using tape. This was raw paint. I wasn't even using tape or stencils or anything at that time. And it was just kind of like vibing this thing out and just seeing like what the response was and shit. Like building security came up and like asked for the permit. But once they had the permit, they were on their way about it, you know? You're walking by, we're like, hey, that's really nice. It's really nice. Oh, that's cool. You're doing that. I was like, cool. When it was all said and done, I got a lot of wow from people. They were like, dude, you painted that thing downstairs? That looks amazing. I worked in a lot of buildings in downtown LA. I saw a lot of clients and a lot of ladies and dudes in mailrooms would tell me, hey man, I saw you painting that box the other day, man. That looks pretty fucking awesome, man. That's what you do? And I was like, well, it's what I did. Like that's one of them. And then about a month later, I was like, man, if I got away with one like that and don't really give a fuck. And the cops that did stop weren't like gung-ho going to jail. They're just like, hey, well, make sure you have the permit on you when you do it. You know what I'm saying? And that was it. So things were done to facilitate where a permit came from. You know, I won't get into that on camera, but, you know, a permit was made, it was acquired, you know, and that was that. You know, it just kept going. And now they don't say shit because I do them for all, who's going to stop me, as I say? The police. And if the police have a box to them, why would they even care? You know, they know what's going on. Beautifying the neighborhood, why the fuck would you want to stop that?
Up to this point, which boxes have been your favorite?
Every fucking one of them. My boxes, favorite as far as the designs, the one I'm hands down to this day, my favorite box will be, I can't remember, it's not even there anymore. It was on 4th and Figueroa. It was a utility box. It depicted a street scenery wrapped around the box with a bunch of buildings. All the buildings had my kids' names for hardware stores and jewelry stores, arcades, and my wife's name was on the billboard. That was probably my hands down favorite box. I want to say it was like box number 13, 14, 17, somewhere in the 20s or early teens. Those were my first boxes. That's my favorite box. The favorite box to do would probably be the money boxes, just because of the amount of stencils and tape on it. There's nothing like pulling off tape off of boxes is satisfactory, like the final outcome feeling. It's a given. That's a fun box to do. It's the most tedious box to do, but I guess that's why I like it, because the reward is, you know, how it looks.
You've also received 2 awards from the city of Los Angeles and Sherman Oaks for your work with the boxes. Can you talk about these achievements?
Yeah, I guess it kind of speaks for itself. The city noticed that I wasn't just painting 1 or 2 or 10 or those awards came from 2 different things. The first award was kind of more astonishing to me because I just got I got an email or something. Email or phone? I think I got an email. I don't know how they got my email. I guess they emailed through Instagram from City Hall, and it kind of fucked me up because they were like, "Hey, Robert Brooks," or "Hey, attention, super leaded, whatever, like, could you come to City Hall? We need to talk to you," kind of shit. And I was just like, what the fuck? Like, this is where everything has gone wrong now. Like, it is no longer artwork in their eyes. They're like seriously pissed the fuck off, and they know enough information about you they're emailing you through your Instagram. So, fuck, figure it out. And I talked to a couple people like, what should I do? What should I do? What should I do? Should I go down there and be like, fuck them, they won't find me? But they're already on this level, so let's find out what the fuck they want. So after a day or so, I finally emailed them back. I was like, hey, what's going on? Hi, can I help you? And trying to be all cool. Like, yeah, we were wondering if you could come down to the hall. We wanted to talk to you about some stuff. I was like, am I in trouble? And they're like, oh no, you're not in trouble or anything, but we've all heard that one before. Like, you get in the room, they close the fucking door, like vandalism, you know? And so I was like, fuck it, take my chances. So I went down there, I called an office, got called another office, I went upstairs, sat down there next time in the mayor's office and shit. And so what's going on here? He's like, oh, this guy wants to talk to you. He's like, hi, Robert Brooks. Oh, pleasure to meet you. Hi, the mayor wanted to give you this. Or someone reported you in the council to some shit stating that you're the guy responsible. We looked at your Instagram. We saw it. We just want to say thank you. Great job. That blew my mind, like heart race. The second one I got was, I didn't know I was going to get it. I was just involved with a program out in Sherman Oaks, painting a bunch of utility boxes in Mulholland Drive and Ventura. And as I guess the culmination of the whole program when they were done, they invited us to like a Ventura Valley wine cracker cheese night where all the artists come in and we all meet and greet each other, and they auction off little canvases. And then the night, which I didn't know, they all called us up there, and all of a sudden they pulled these things like, okay, here are your plans. That's how I got the second one. I guess if you participate in certain city programs, that's what they give people, because I know a lot of artists have gotten that, and that's how they get the thing, is participating in a city program. So that's why the first one has a little more meaning to me, because I was like, I wasn't just one of 20 people. We have to give them all one. I was someone they went after and sought after to find me to give it to me. That kind of like blew my mind, because I had like a mental vision board when I started doing like oh, I want this to happen. I want this to happen. One day you're gonna see. And I told myself, I told my friends, they laugh. I used to say that. Like, one day I'm gonna paint these boxes everywhere, and I'll just paint them, and no one will give a fuck, and the mayor will love me, and the teachers and doctors and lawyers, everyone will love me. You'll see, I'll get awards from this shit. And when, to get the award in your hand, it's kind of like, that's that real life. You manifested some shit, like to speak on it, and then when it happens, it fucks you up because you weren't even joking, but you were kind of joking because you didn't think it was gonna be that way. But like, look what happens. You're like, fuck, words have power, type of shit. And then based on that, it's like I speak a lot of shit into existence, you know. So that's real shit.
How many boxes have you painted in total? Do you keep track?
Right now I'm at 199, and the reason that I linger on that 199, I have been for a while, is because, well, if you look at how many boxes I've actually painted, different boxes, 199. Not including the ones I did for a gig inside of Dodger Stadium, because those aren't actually city boxes, that's a whole different gig and shit. So that's 199 boxes I've painted, but of those 199 boxes, some of those boxes have been painted 2, some 3, one 4 times. So if you add those up as different boxes, that were definitely up to like 220, 230, you know what I'm saying? As far as boxes I painted, but I don't count those that way because they're still 199 of the same boxes. And the reason I haven't crossed that 200 mark yet is because I want to get all the boxes I previously had that have been tagged on, buffed, gone over, like cap them back, like at least most of them. Some of them I've kind of let go to the streets because it's so fucked up. It's probably the 3rd time I've redone it. This will be the 4th time I'm just not gonna do it anymore, and the rest is like, let's go westward, let's get new uncharted territory, or other cities and stuff,
Do you have anything special planned for your 200th box?
I did it for my first one. My first 100, I had a whole collage of different designs. I've thought about it, but I don't know. It's just, it might be a minute to even get to that 200 one. I really want to get like at least like 20 or 30 of them out of the way. It's kind of hard because like I see new boxes I want to get, but I know if I go get that box, that's going to be the 200 box, whatever it is, and that probably will be happening. I'll be like, there was one I was going to do, which is a collaboration of a LAPD and a fire department box down like in the, I know, it's like on 66th and Broadway or 65th and Broadway or some shit. And like, that's nothing special about it. It's a fire department LAPD box collaboration, no bells and whistles on it. It's for them. They'll probably love it. But for me, from like, oh, my 200, there's nothing special about that, so we'll see. Whatever happens, happens.
The city of Glendale, Burbank, Pasadena, we don't see any boxes from you there. Why not?
Well, initially, because every time they've had a program and I've applied for it, I was kindly denied for reasons I can only assume have something to do with the fact that I use aerosol as my medium, and I just don't think that's what they're into. And even though I've seen people with aerosol in boxes, maybe it's just, I don't know. I really don't know why. I don't even care at this point because I got LA who lets me paint boxes, and that's their loss, I would love to paint them in Burbank. I'd love to paint them in Glendale. I'd love to paint them in Pasadena, but I'm not even sure if Pasadena even has a program for that. I know Burbank and Glendale do. I'm not sure if Pasadena's even on that thing, their vibe. I don't know.
Outside of graffiti and your boxes, it's very rare to find stickers or canvases from you. Why is that?
I don't do stickers. Never was my thing. I just don't like stickers. I mean, I don't know. Stickers to me is lazy graffiti. And there's like, you walk by and just slap some shit up, that's fine and dandy. But actually sit there and put the grind on it, it's a little more creative, I guess.
What about
nothing wrong with it, but it's just not my thing, huh?
What about canvases? Why don't we see more of them from you?
Because honestly, it's not my thing. People always ask that canvas is like, oh, you do all this big stuff on a wall. Why don't you do a canvas? I'm like, yeah, because canvas is finer detail. I got shitty vision. It's a lot more work. You gotta wait for the canvas to dry. If you want canvases with paintbrushes on stuff, I'm not even that guy. Like I said, can control earlier. That's what you got used to, and you know how to maneuver that. I don't necessarily know how to be the best guy with markers. And yeah, I can do some shit, just hit books and stuff, but like canvases, you kind of want to put something a little nicer on a canvas than on a wall, I guess is the expectations. And I think that's honestly my biggest problem. I expect my canvases to be so much doper than something I would put on a wall that I overthink them, and I never finish them, and people want me to do canvases, and the process now that have been like years. I've been doing a little bit every 3 weeks, forever and a day, but yeah, I can paint like 1,000 walls. I'll never understand why. It's just how my mind works. It's shitty because it'd probably be making me money if I was really focused on it, but as we are, it is life.
Thank you, Gas. Now, I'd like to talk about today's era. What are your thoughts on today's graffiti culture?
I think it's lost. And not lost as far as like, there's a bunch of lost ass kids out there. I mean, yeah, that too. There's no guidance. There's no no fundamentals. There's no one there with that subway art to say, hey, this is what you should do. It's just, I'm not gonna say I don't respect it. I mean, their generation's different, they're doing their thing, but like I think the quality of graffiti is shot down fucking 90+% because it's just shit. It's a bunch of silver, a bunch of black, and that's what's considered dope. Back in the day, you could do silvers and blacks, but you had aspiration to be doper. Now it's just, it's ugly. I mean, I understand as an adult, I mean, when I was a kid, I'd see graffiti look dope. Now I see graffiti looks like shitty. It's just shit graffiti. Shit on top of shit, on top of shit, on top of shit, on top in front of 10 tents. And this is the city's problem too, because the graffiti mixed up with burnt walls and a bunch of tents, and it's just a whole overall shitty look, you know? You know, it's the backdrop to our shitty homeless city now. It's just fucked up, you know? I mean, there's still dope art out there, but the majority of the dope artists, you can put them on a fucking hand. You show me 100 dope graffiti artists that are up in the city, and you show me how many of them are actually dope artists, and it's very few. The ones that are dope are mind-blowingly dope. Don't get me wrong, the times have changed, the art has changed, but the ones that are dope, and the ones that are shit are really shit. And it seems like the shit ones just outweigh the fucking dope ones like 100 to 1 now.
Who are some of those dope artists that you currently see on the streets today? Can you name a couple?
You're talking dope as in art, because now being an older man and being like an artist myself and being a graph writer and seeing the difference, knowing the difference, when I say something's dope on a wall, I'm not, the spot you caught is fresh, it's cool to look at, but if I think your shit is dope and I'm calling and telling someone about your shit, it's not even graffiti you're doing anymore. You're doing some fine scale, half of a building artwork. It's like, it's majestic. It's not even graffiti anymore at this point. It's like fine art, you know? Graffiti anymore really doesn't impress me anymore. My own graffiti and some of my crewmates included, graffiti doesn't really impress me. I've seen it all, you know? To bell whistle me with graffiti and our street art made me go, wow, you did something different. You probably are doing some art. It's probably not even graffiti at this point because most of the graffiti shit has been done.
Can you give me your Mount Rushmore of graffiti artists or your top 5 list to ever do it in Los Angeles?
Again, my top 5 list is kind of weird because some people would say those people aren't even graph writers. Like hands down, one of my favorite of all time has been Coffee. Is he a graph writer? Well, he originated as a graph writer. He's a fine artist. He's dope. He's dope as fuck. He could still walk a wall. I just don't think he does as much as he you know, you would think, oh, he's a graph writer. He should. But as a person and as an artist, I love Coffee's shit. Another one I'm a big fan of, one of a good friend of mine, is we're talking here on arts, just strictly on like art shit.
Anything, just on your Mount Rushmore, past or present.
Yeah, and like I say, this is not taking away anything from any of like the Oilers or the Sleaze or anyone who did graffiti. It's just like you're asking me, my Mount Rushmore, they're artists. They're all artists. They're like I told you, like they're like the Coffees, the Axeses, the Mirrors, the Plex. You know what I'm saying? Like these are like artists. You know what I'm saying? Like the level of skill. You know what I'm saying? Like they're just like there's so many. Here goes Mount Rushmore. There are 4 people. Like there's probably at least 10 of them up there. There's a bunch of them up there, dude. But those were definitely Temps is up there, dude, for sure. There's like these are people who like innovated the game or gave something to the game or like was a fresh perspective. Wasn't like, I'm not saying you're not dope, but you gave me some dope redundant shit that I've seen 30 people do before. Whereas those people I just listed, those are game changers. Those people did something that they carved their own path. You know, and most people on this, all of them I know on a personal level too, so maybe there's some bias in that too. But I guess if you're an amazing person and you're a good artist, it goes a little bit further than if you're just an amazing artist and you're kind of an asshole person, you know?
Gas, I'd like to thank you for joining us. You have such a long history in Los Angeles graffiti culture. We could go on for hours. We did. What can we expect from you in the future?
Don't expect anything from me. Just let me be me, and whatever happens, happens. I'm not one of those guys. Well, I'm working on something really big, because if something really big doesn't happen, then I lied to you. It is what it is, man. Expect positivity from me. Be a positive dude, good attitude, try to make artwork, hopefully be around here for a while, that's it. I'm gonna keep doing what I'm doing until God, decides that I'm not here to do anything anymore. That's what I'm gonna keep doing. Stay positive, that's all I plan to do.
Hey man, congratulations on your sobriety.
Thank you.
You're an inspiration to many who struggle with addiction and the disease of alcoholism. We wish you continued success with your electrical boxes and hope to see more of them on the streets. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you for joining us. This has been Gas MTA, a Los Angeles legend, and we'll see you next time.
Yay.